Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover.
You just crossed him over nastily. Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. What's up, Matt and Josh?
Hello. How are we?
Good. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. Doing very, very good.
Good.
Oh, I got
good.
450 bonus points for Jimmy John's today. Hell yeah.
Once again, the Jimmy John's reward system makes no sense.
It
at
makes
all.
zero sense. I don't know why today.
The less you use it, the more apt they are to reward you. The more you use it, the less rewards you get.
Literally.
And if they could pare down those emails to just 6 a day, I'd be happy.
It's not really rewards at all, if you think about it.
No, it's not. You're supposed
It's
to be.
inducements.
Yeah.
Just deliver my sandwich in under half an hour.
Do you have inducements? Can you type in your number for inducements? That's what they should say.
Basically what it is.
Yeah.
I've actually the whole point system. So I get miles for my credit card. I have the United Explorers credit card. And why did that
You don't
create a
have to
chuckle?
explain what a miles card.
No, I just have to. Well, there's levels.
Would you like to
There's-
tell us about the Explorer level versus?
Yeah. So
know.
they've actually changed some things. So I have to like re-earn it. But when I first got it, I would get free check bags.
Sure.
And I would get free United Club passes.
You think you'd get to
And-
use those, wouldn't you?
Nope. I thought I would, and then now the January one began, and
you get
it
to
all
thinking.
restarted.
Interesting.
It
That's
was-
how credit cards work.
I was like, what the hell? So now I have to go on all these flights now and do like, I
You
don't
get it
know.
for the year.
Yeah, but the problem was I started in August, and so then
Well, they don't care about that.
I know they don't care about that. I found out. I was checking my bag in January, and I go, why do I have to pay for this? I never had to pay for this for the last 4 months. It was great. I was bragging to people. I was like, ooh, I don't have to pay for check bags anymore. I'm a United Explorer.
This is going to blow your mind, Matt. You used to not have to pay to check a bag.
Ever?
You used to be able to bring whatever
Yeah.
you wanted. on an
100
airplane.
bags.
And you didn't
100
have
bags.
to.
Oh, you left your gun in your briefcase? That's
Yeah.
fine. Whatever.
Why
Cigarettes.
don't you just take it through security anyway?
Yeah.
Oh,
Was this-
you want to bring a bottle of water on? Sure. What could that possibly harm? Bring it
Wow.
on.
And then
They don't ask you if you have lithium-ion batteries.
Wait.
Do you have any lithium-ion batteries? No, I never, ever have had that.
You're telling me I used to be able to bring my rangefinder in my checked bag?
Yeah.
You're telling me you used to be able to do that?
No.
You didn't have to like rent one at the course?
No, yeah. You could always do it in the checked bag.
And then I assumed
They
I'm-
definitely want to know about your lithium.
I'm not assuming, but I know that then an event happened, a certain specific event happened.
That's right.
That's part of it.
And
but
that changed a lot.
in recent years, it's just that air travel has decided how can we make this as miserable and terrible as possible.
See,
and then we're going to claim that we're saving you money, but really what we're doing is we're selling you the same seat for roughly the same or more money, and then you get less amenities.
So
but we're letting you add those amenities on in case you care about them.
I'm interested in this as far as the whole.
Because we're a budget airline.
Now that is a problem. We're going to have some conversations with a few airlines, one of which carries quite significantly out of Omaha. They have some problems right now. But as far as like the TSA is concerned, I'm interested with the influx of everyone in America has become a podcaster.
Yes.
And so everybody wants to bring their podcast stuff with them.
yeah.
I imagine it's become very, very difficult for the TSA people
You
to.
saw this, right? On Friday.
Yes, they
I
wanted
get
to look at your
pulled-
podcast.
They pulled my bag, and it's like, I've had my bag pulled before. I had absolutely no concern this time compared to others.
So I got stopped once because
The microphone?
I got stopped for my microphone not when I went for the Big Ten tournament, but the time before that, I got stopped with my microphone, my Yeti microphone.
just a handful of years ago. Out of my backpack, they were like, "You're gonna have to come with me," and I'm like, "All right." And they were like, "What's this?" And I said, "That's a voice recorder. I'm a journalist or whatever." That's what I told them.
Yeah.
I'm not, but
Don't
that's
be,
what I
you
told
are
them.
a journalist.
I'm
Don't
not.
feel ashamed.
I was like, "Oh, whatever. This is part of my job." And they were like,
Multimedia.
"You know what this looks like, right?" And I go, "No." And they go, "It looks like a taser."
Taser,
Yeah. And I go,
Well,
"Well, it's not a taser." what do you want me to do to show you that it's not a taser?
You're like,
so
I'll
that's what I did. I
I'll
grabbed it
not
and I
tase you. Yeah,
I
yeah.
poked him with it. I go, this is not a taser. And he was like, okay.
Why were you like, hey, let's just record this conversation right now?
No, I had to prove that it wasn't
Oh
a
my God.
taser.
You just started poking him
Can't
with
say
a recorder.
taser in an airport.
See, my
Look.
experience was the guy, like, it gets pulled. Someone else flagged it, and then someone comes by and they take the bag and they ask whose bag it is, and you walk over with them. He goes through it, and he's like, I guess it's this here. And he pulls out the pouch that the microphone is in, and he unzips it, and he holds it up, and he knows right away it's a microphone. I'm like, it's a microphone. He's like, yeah. And then he looks back at the guy who flagged it, and he puts it away. He's like, we're going to work on some things.
We don't need to be flagging the microphone.
His annoyance was that he wasted my time, his own time, and that they had clearly gone down this road before.
Yeah.
But it was great when he just like, he's like, it's a microphone.
I do have.
Could you explain this to me, sir? What is this?
I do have one problem with TSA right now, and I understand that it's very hard to be jolly and happy doing that job. Okay,
Their problem is they're not getting paid. man.
Well, yeah, well, that no. I'm just saying this is even before everything
Oh,
that has been going on. All right, this is dating back to like the last couple of years. I don't like that. I go up to TSA now, and I never know what the rules are. I don't know if today's
they make
a
them up at each airport.
I don't know if today's a shoe day, if today's a no shoe day. I don't know if today's everything's got to be in a separate container. I don't know if it's I get up and I feel like I'm a wide receiver at the line and I don't know what the play is. And then I have to ask them, what are we doing today? And they get really annoyed at me when I ask
there's
them.
one person who just yells out what the instructions
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just
You're right, Matt. It's very inconsistent. And the problem is that they are dealing like we all fly a lot or whatever,
Yeah.
or we're familiar with this. Most of the time they're dealing with people who like fly like once every 14 years or something like that. And
Good
theyare
point.
just like, oh, I'm going to Disney World today.
This is true.
What do I do with all of these children and all of these bags?
What do you mean my jackknife can't come through with my boot?
I guess I hadn't really thought about it. I haven't flown since literally 9/11.
See, this is a great point because my view of flying has been completely skewed over the last about 4 years because now I'm not flying on vacations anymore. When I used to fly, it was just, you were right. We were going to Disney World. We were going to Universal. It was a happy celebratory moment. All the last
Not anymore.
5 years has either been work
Flying
or
is
it's
sad
like,
now.
So you're
or
either
it's-
going to Chicago or you're coming back.
or
from
I'm
Chicago.
coming back from Chicago,
Yeah.
or it's just like I'm going out for work. Like the last time I took a flight where it was like this was a recreational thing was when I flew to Denver for a wedding. But I flew out of Kansas City because I had worked the 3 days before and happened to be in
Terrific
Kansas
airport.
City. I'm gonna be real with you. That and the Phoenix airport, pretty
Telling you, bro,
impressive.
that's what we're trying to be. We're trying to be Kansas City.
Sky Harbor's fine.
Yeah, Phoenix is kind of crappy, but like we're the Kansas City airport. That's what Omaha's about.
I have not been in the new
3 years.
Kansas
I'm gonna
City
be real with you. I'm very excited.
We're cooking.
I actually, for somebody,
Just when they
I'll
get
believe
rid
it
of,
when I see it.
when
I'll
they
believe
get-
it when they have restaurants inside.
you're
their
gonna love
security.
it when they get rid of the
I'll believe it
exposed
when the
wires.
baggage claim doesn't take 15 years to get from the plane.
There's a whole
to
new
the-
system.
I'm gonna be
the
very,
thing.
I'm gonna be very happy. We're the only place to sit down, at least in the terminal that I fly out of, the United Terminal, is that there's not just one sitting area or one bar area with
Oh,
8
It's all
seats.
changing. It's all
Okay.
changing.
So they say.
That is prime real estate. You
Believe
find
it.
a bar seat at Omaha, you better not move. You better
Believe it.
not go anywhere.
It's coming. Believe it. As Rex Hudler would say, believe it.
I want you to be right. I would like the experience to be better.
You think they're going to wreck the current terminals and then just build the same terminals back? I don't think so,
I
Mike.
think history has shown that believing in Nebraska infrastructure hasn't always resulted.
Aha. But this is
Yeah.
Omaha.
Okay,
This-
streetcar town. How's
This
that
is
going?
Omaha.
Great point. Mike.
Everything except the
Great-
streetcar has
there
been
you go.
successful.
Yeah, you mean
How are
everything
you
except for
enjoying
the
your
biggest
road
project?
construction in front of CHI?
That has to do with the streetcar. I said everything except the streetcar.
I had to deal with the streetcar yesterday in Midtown because I was going to that Fashion Cleaners drop-off cleaners. And by the way, I went to the Fashion Cleaners drop-off place and I was like, this is so dumb. I'm 8 minutes away from the Fashion Cleaners. I just walked out and went to the cleaners and dropped it off there.
Did you get some dry cleaning done?
I did. The Jet Awards are on Thursday. So I got to bring in all my shirts and my suits and my pants and all that stuff. But I went to the drop-off. I was like, This is dumb. This is stupid. Like the fact that I have to have a code and I have to take pictures and I have to tell them what I want. And then it doesn't even tell me when they're going to be done. Like they didn't even give me a timeline. I'm like, the cleaners is 8 minutes away. I'm going to drive there and drop it all off. Anyway, I had to walk all the way up and all the way back because of the streetcar construction. And it sucked.
Yeah.
This sucks. This is wasted space.
Well,
Turn my mic on here.
Hey, Josh.
You go talk to my guy Kermit over at
Kermitang.
Fashion
Fashion
Cleaners.
I am excited though about the airport. I think I'm a guy that I love being in an airport for 2.5 hours and walking around.
That guy loves the Jays.
Dude, he does.
That's why I like my
You
my
love
free.
being there and walking around for
Yeah,
2.5 hours.
I do. I have no problem with it. I like
Why?
going to different restaurants and hanging out and seeing.
I'm kind of with you, man.
Of the,
I like being at the airport
like
too.
there's just kind of no like you got nowhere to be other than like half an hour before you board your flight.
I don't want to get there obsessively early
Okay, so
just
that's where
to
I
do
wanna-
this.
I want to
Like
clarification.
if I am in the situation where I am there really early, like obnoxiously early, then I don't mind it. But I'd obviously rather not. I'd rather be at home.
Chances are, when you have that much time at an airport, you're on a layover or something got
Correct.
canceled or disrupted. So probably not in a great mood over
If
that.
if
alone.
you told me to pick be at an airport and this is going to be a bad take in most people's eyes, but this is how I feel. If you told me be at an airport 20 minutes before you board or be at an airport 2 hours and 20 minutes before you board, I would take the latter.
Well, but like,
Not
are you
the
telling
Omaha,
me
not the Omaha airport, not the Omaha airport.
that's
a
the
bigger-
airport you get. That's
No,
where you live.
So,
No.
but are you guaranteeing that I'm making that, like, everything is going to go fine? I'm making that flight
On the 20-minute one?
yeah, on the 20-minute one.
Yeah, I'm taking that every time.
If that's the case, then yes, I'll take that.
If it's a guarantee, but I don't like the part of the reason I don't like the 20-minute thing is the stress of being like, if something goes awry, I'm not going to make it.
Well, sure, but most
Okay.
people aren't picking 20 minutes. They're probably picking an
it's
hour.
just closer to an hour.
But I'm just saying, it's just I would rather be there for an extended period of time, except for being there 20 minutes and all of a sudden I'm just gone. I kind of like sitting down and relaxing at the airport.
But as we've determined, you just really like walking. Right?
I do.
You're in your walking era.
I am.
Sam says I should become an airline lounge honk. I think I will.
I tried becoming an airline
have a-
lounge honk, and then they took away all my lounge
Well,
honking abilities.
We're going to have a non-denominational lounge in Omaha.
Non-denominational lounge.
Non-denominational.
That is how you describe it.
All the frequent flyers from all the different airlines.
You
They
don't
come
have to.
together.
You don't have to vow to
Yeah.
any airline
Yeah.
in particular to do.
5
That
mountains.
sounds hilariously stupid.
I think that's the plan.
But do you like walking?
I don't know how you get access to it outside of like buying specifically for that lounge.
Yeah, it seems that
Like
way.
the plus
I
of
doubt the
lounges.
United Club is like, yeah, we'll contribute to your lounge.
The plus of lounges is that you get into many lounges when you
Yeah.
get into one lounge, but not in Omaha. Omaha is going to be its own lounge,
Do you think they like give,
non-denominational lounge.
you think they give you like a sticker based on like where you're a frequent flyer at? Like you walk in and you're like, hey,
Oh,
hey,
you're
what?
a United guy.
Yeah, you're a United guy. You're looking around. Where are my other United people at? I'm not going to sit at the Southwest table.
You know, as weird as it is to say, you can kind of tell.
I think that's very weird and very.
You look like a
judgmental.
Delta.
Yeah, you strike me as an American Airlines Club guy. If I had to pick one airlines for Connor Happer, I would say
Well,
American.
I think I would refer to myself as a bit of an airlines free agent at this point. I got it.
Hmm.
I got.
You're part of the contingent that's fleeing the Southwest ship.
I would like to,
That's
but I
where
have
I'm at.
points, and I
That's
need to
where
get.
I'm at.
I need to get rid of them, and I'm going to do that. And when I do, I'm open.
Well, I found out with my miles that I can buy.
It's just the most convenient out of Omaha. That's the problem.
I can buy nice items with my United Miles, like rewards.
Nice.
Like
So what do you mean by nice?
I
item?
for 50,000 miles, I can get an AP stainless steel pan set.
For 50,000 miles, you can probably take 2 trips. It's better than a
Well,
stainless pan.
you know that you cannot.
I do like the pants, though. I mean, the pants.
I need some stainless steel pants. They're nice stainless steel.
Get this man
Yeah,
some
but I think you
pants.
can do that without
I could get-
using the same
I
cost.
I
of-
can get cologne for like nice cologne for like 15,000 miles. I can get a dartboard, like a
Have
nice
you done the
dartboard
math
set.
on this though?
I have.
What are these gifts?
I know. I spent 2 hours yesterday scrolling through the United Miles rewards applications, and there was a lot of great stuff. I was thinking about getting some UGG slippers for 38,000
Okay.
miles.
All right, you don't.
Yeah, this.
Don't do that. Anyway,
think you're doing the
38,000
math
miles. That's
right.
almost the price of the stainless
off,
steel.
I don't know what the conversion rate
Yeah.
is.
You,
on
can't,
the
you cannot,
United
by the way,
Miles.
buy full flights anymore with United Miles. You can only use them at least I can only use them at a discounted rate.
I've heard that complaint.
Is
from
that
people.
because you don't have enough points?
No, I have plenty of points. It just goes when you go miles, it goes 12,000. You can only use 12,000 at a time, or 14,000
That
at a
is
time.
rough.
You cannot buy.
What would be the point of accumulating miles?
Well, the discount is pretty. Like a 300 flight turns into like.
Yeah, but the
50%
idea
off.
is that the miles is then so I only have to pay the $5.40 that I'm forced to pay by the government.
No. It's
Well,
the
you
amount
say
of-
no, but as someone who has used miles for
I
over
say
a decade,
yes.
I say
no,
yes.
but I'm telling you on
And
my
on multiple
I'm,
different
I'm
airlines.
telling you that on my United app.
No, I
United
believe you.
Miles.
I believe you.
We
It's a
get
bad
it. We're
deal.
just explaining
Yeah.
that this seems really.
I agree. I can't even check a free bag anymore.
A couple more
That seems more of a
comments.
you thing.
Here's
No.
Sam again. He says the Delta American Express Reserve card will get you access to the Omaha Escape non-denominational lounge. So that's good.
Can we try to do a show from the lounge?
Yes.
Oh,
well,
let's
I've been
go.
angling
Who
to
do we
try
even
and get a
talk to?
hard hat tour for years now.
Okay, we can.
We can make
We
that.
can get
Connor
that
has
done.
been promised that people knew people to do this for him.
I
Well,
know people
yeah.
that we can probably get this done too.
Okay,
We're
please do
working
this.
into
Please work on this.
Yeah.
I want this really bad.
Ever since I've known you, you've been very passionate about this airport and what it's going to become.
I love building things.
I would love
Yeah.
for Happer and Shaver to become partners with the Epley Airport.
Well, he wants to be the guy from the terminal.
Well, that's fine. He can
You
do
wanna be-
whatever.
I don't want to
cosplay.
live in. I don't want to be Victor Dvorsky.
You would if
but
you had to.
I would if I had to. Yeah. If my country was shut down completely from air travel.
You want to figure out the quarter thing?
Yeah, I mean, like if I had to do that, I would be able to. Now, I wouldn't be able to build big, palaces like he did in like Terminal C or whatever he did down there for
The
that.
quartering
For,
is
for
better than
Catherine
me.
Zeta-Jones. He built a nice shrine for Catherine Zeta-Jones.
I really
She
need to
didn't
watch
even-
this movie.
She didn't even care about it.
It's I've sparked.
She
notes
was
it,
kind of
it's
the
fine.
worst
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
in that movie. Yeah, she sucked.
I never got to that part.
Yeah, he sparks notes. too.
You spark notes it and you declared that the movie was fine, and you never got to the Catherine Zeta-Jones part.
I think it's
She's
no,
like the
it's a
co-star
fine
of the
based
movie.
off
Yeah.
based off the. I'm not insulting the movie that you like. Based off of the clips that I've seen, I think it looks like a good movie. I just know your references that you're making.
Yeah, it tanks. Of course, it's good. It tanks.
I'm not saying it's not good. I never
We're pro
doubted
Hank.
that.
And Stanley Tucci, you love Tucci.
I love Tucci.
The Tooch.
I like he goes, he makes more than I do. Because he was doing the quartering. He like becomes good at construction
That's right,
or
he did
whatever.
say that. How did you know that?
Because I spark notes it. It's a
That
big
doesn't make
clips
any
boy.
sense. You
Matt McClips.
clips.
Oh, the clips.
YouTube
the
clips. Yeah. Matt McBrain rot.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. My attention.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. You just got to watch stuff.
I was watching the Danny Hurley, Bob Hurley E60 yesterday. It was
Okay.
actually a great E60. I didn't
Like
finish
on
it.
Spark Notes, or you? were
No,
watching-
I went to the ESPN app. Well, because
Whoa.
I've canceled the ESPN app. I'm no longer paying $30 a month.
Oh man, how are you going to
Look
watch
at
Creighton,
this.
Nebraska baseball tonight?
I'm it expires at the end of April, so
All right,
I'll
so
be
you're
able
good.
to watch them tonight.
So
But-
you're just keeping it through WrestleMania.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. So then I'm canceling. I'm
By
also
the way, oh sorry, go ahead.
I've canceled like $90 worth of subscriptions.
Nice
over the
job.
last month.
Good for
Look at
you.
that.
You're really
adult
trimming it out.
McMaster.
I'm like I had money.
No more butcher box for you.
Well, I had all this money that I've never had before, and I was like, oh my god, all these subscriptions. Like, if I just want this, I can just buy it. I don't have, what's a paywall?
that's how I feel about your stainless steel set.
I know. I was just like, this is great. I can read everything I absolutely want. And I'll use these sites, and then I never use those sites. And so now I'm just like, screw this. I'm wasting money.
Oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with PFF?
Oh, I'm buying that. I'm buying.
Well, but did you hear what happened with PFF?
What happened with PFF?
Well,
They sold it to ESPN. Now it's a $30 a month subscription.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
no,
They-
dude.
They let off several employees amid a
They-
company sale.
They did. I did see that they laid off.
They
Yeah, and I
sold.
don't. Basically, from what I was hearing about the analysis of this, like the part that you use, the part that normal human beings use, is basically hosed because they fired all those people.
Oh.
What? So like the snap counts and the time to target.
I don't
and
know what
the-
it's going to look like, but it sounds like we're in peril.
the average. I need to know what the average depth of target is for
You
all
just
of
want to
these
say
players.
ADOT a bunch.
No, I actually use these stats.
I know,
actually
but I have a theory that some people just really like saying ADOT.
that might be a true theory. I don't. I think that average depth of target and time to target is some of the best stats that you just cannot get from a vanilla website. And I use it a lot when analyzing how players are playing.
That's fine.
And now that's not going to be there. That's actually.
Oh, I don't know if
terrible.
it's not going to be there. I should say that. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it sounds like
I don't really-
there's going to be a shakeup.
I don't use the grades. The grade thing, the grading system. I don't really use the grades. Like I think that's kind of
Here's the thing, man.
whatever.
I just know that you care about this stuff, and
I
so
do.
I feel like your
Mhm.
life is going to be upended.
It is.
Seems like it already has.
Yeah.
been.
I don't like that news.
I'm sorry. Joe in Vegas says, once again, this crossover is amazing. You people travel out of Omaha, and Epley Airfield has been a toilet since its existence, and you have the audacity to criticize any other airport when Omaha is a toilet.
I mean,
We're gonna hear
O'Hare.
this from McCarran boy.
It's going to be one of those nice new toilets, though. One of those fancy
A bidet.
toilets.
That's what I'm saying, man. You don't know. Joe in Vegas doesn't know. It's coming. We're
You're
going to
like-
have a
you-
reasonable airport soon. Right now, it's hard for me to disagree. In fact, it is the worst toilet it's ever been right now.
Oh,
You
no.
you are
It's the worst toilet. It was a toilet, and now it's a really bad toilet.
You
How's,
are-
how's that private tarmac behind the airport? Is that still okay?
That I don't know.
Okay,
about.
I'll let you guys know.
I've never used that.
you're Paul Heyman to a young Brock Lesnar. You're calling Omaha the next big thing.
It's coming.
You're hyping it up.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
come.
This is great.
We
I
come.
I
don't
love-
know who Paul Heyman is.
No.
He doesn't.
I
know-
thought you honestly were talking about Paul Newman.
no.
If we're being
When he
honest,
said
though,
Paul, I thought it
you
was
should
Paul
do some
Newman.
research on Paul Heyman. You would love Paul
You would
Heyman.
love Paul Heyman.
New York guy.
Yeah. Very loud,
Mhm.
very entertaining, like does some ridiculous stuff.
Fanta. He's like
Um,
Fanta.
He's like evil Fanta would probably
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
best way to describe
like
it.
that.
He's like Fanta if Fanta was evil.
I like Fanta. Nice Fanta.
No. But he's
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
You like that Fanta?
yeah.
That was great.
You like the Fanta that was calling John Shire that he has a lot of his problems in late games and stuff like that? And you like that Fanta? You had the Fanta that
I didn't
crapped
hear him
over.
say that, but yeah,
He crapped all over John Shire.
I
yesterday.
support almost everything that Fanta does.
I didn't support that. I think it was a little ridiculous. But he was crapping all over Shire. Which I like Fanta too, but I thought it was a bad thing. I thought he went a little too far. But
I didn't hear it.
yeah, no, not good. You would like evil Fanta.
I mean, they did suck at the end of the game.
Yeah, but like he was like he had a timeout and he did, and I'm like,
He did have a timeout.
I'm like, but if you watch the play, where would he call that timeout? Like,
Anywhere before he threw it
no,
to the other team.
I just don't. They were doing everything perfectly, and then by the time that he could have,
if they were doing everything perfectly, then
Why
the
is
ball
there
never
such
would have
an
ended up in-
erasure of this horrible mistake that they've made?
it wasn't. It's not on Shire for not calling the timeout. He grabbed the ball and he immediately threw it. Like there's no point for Shire to be like, oh, he's in trouble. Let me call the timeout.
In every other situation, every other coach in America gets blamed for what happened. It is his fault.
I'm blaming Shire for the fact that it got to that point. The fact that they could not stop Reed and Caravan in the paint. I'm totally on board for that. But in terms of blaming him for not calling the timeout, I don't agree. I don't agree with being like he should have called the timeout. I don't know where the point. They were never really fully trapped or in trouble. When they were trapped, they got it off to the middle of the court.
They were in trouble.
No, they weren't. When Caden Boozer grabs the ball, there's not a point where he's like fighting around or they're about to like make a jump ball. He just grabbed it and
So
he did
you
it
would have
face.
rather him like toss the ball up into no man's
I
land
would
than
have
call a
okay,
timeout?
So Jay Billis talked about this. They do a drill at Duke where you catch the ball and then you face the two defenders. And that way it gives you time to either call the timeout or get fouled. Caden catches the ball and he doesn't face. He catches the ball and then immediately turns around and throws it. You're not supposed to do it that way. That was the mistake. The fact that they blew a 19-point lead is, yes, definitely on the coach for allowing it to get to that point and not making adjustments. I'm just saying specifically in that play, I just don't fully agree with the whole, he should have called the timeout. I don't know where he really would have called it. There wasn't a point where it's like, oh my God, this is getting it, and I gotta burn one. It happened a little bit when they got it to Cam Boozer and they didn't want to foul him. He got it to Sarr, and Sarr pretty quickly got it up to Caden. This all happened in 5 seconds. I don't agree with the whole, he's an idiot for not calling a timeout. Some people have that take a disagree. So there you go. So
Thank you.
that's the crossover. Powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at Everlevel.
You lost me. You said so many things.
Middays with Matt coming up next.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call. Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays Matt live and rolling here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. Matt Master, joined as always by Josh Odson. We are officially in, I don't want to call it weird sports season, but we are now officially in the season where just it's a bunch of sports that I like sports. I just haven't really been paying attention to the NBA. I like sports. I haven't really fully been enveloped in the NHL. I watched two NBA games yesterday.
Disgusting.
I know. I actually quite enjoyed it. The Pistons-Oklahoma City game was like a miniature playoff.
Yeah, went into overtime.
It's a good one.
SGA shot like 900 free throws.
He also shot all the shots. He actually made a game-winning shot, and then I got called off for an offensive foul. It was a very entertaining game. The game
I got questions about that guy.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I mean, it was a big win for them, 114 to 110.
I don't know. I'm not sold on this guy.
He's just not
I don't like the way he
entertaining.
plays. Yeah.
That's just what it is. That you just don't find him as entertaining as people that you've liked in the past.
47 points, 21 of 25 from the free throw line. My God.
There were multiple times that I was like cleaning the kitchen, and then I would walk back and just look at the game and see what the score is. It was a pretty tight game for a lot of it. Got really tight. Good comeback from Oklahoma City in the fourth quarter.
Went to overtime.
There were a couple of different instances, like 3 different times, where I walked back to look at the TV and he was shooting a free throw.
Sure. I mean, you got him, you got Alex Caruso on that team who looks like Elmer Fudd in Space Jam.
Okay, but he's great. He's like a winning basketball player. I mean, that guy plays a brand of basketball that I enjoy.
I don't know about this Thunder team, guys.
I think they're pretty damn good.
They're good. Don't get me wrong.
They're going to be very good for a long time. I think the more entertaining team is the one that played before them and absolutely dominated the Chicago Bulls.
The
San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, what a season it's been for the Chicago Bulls, where they had to waive Jaden Ivey yesterday after he went on a rant. So out of
rant gong.
Yeah, big time. So I hate being a Bulls fan, but I very much enjoyed. I do. It was
sure.
It would.
You're allowed to.
There was a great rant, hit the rant gong for somebody in Chicago sports radio who was like, being a Bulls fan used to be a lot of fun, and now it sucks. Now I hate now I just hate this whole thing. I watched him yesterday. It was the first time that I've watched him in like 2 months. I watched the first 10 games of the season for the Bulls because I love the Bulls.
I remember you being locked in when that season started.
And then I was like, and then they went on a stretch where they lost to all of the bad teams they should have beaten and gotten off to a very good start, but yet they were beating very competitive teams I didn't think they would beat. And it was the same exact thing they were doing before, getting into the play-in. So I just kind of I was like, this sucks. And then they traded everybody and they got a bunch of second-round draft picks for them. So anyway.
Second-round draft picks in the NBA are notoriously good players.
Great investments.
Yeah.
1 second-round draft pick that could be a good investment, though, is Price Sanford.
The price is right.
The price is going to be the story of the offseason for Nebraska basketball. We are going to have a Nebraska basketball conversation today. We're also going to have a Creighton conversation today. Both teams, we're at the point where we have players entering the portal, but the portal really isn't officially open yet. And so you're kind of getting reports on the big ones, but there's a lot to come. We're kind of progressing towards when the portal is officially, I think that's on April 7th, the day after the national championship is when it officially opens. But we are getting some news of guys who are intending to enter the portal. One of those guys being announced today, Olivia Rue, the 7'9" center from Florida, who got that standing ovation when he checked into the game. Wonder where he will go. Yeah. I actually do not know where he's going to end up. But we've seen Bangat Doc former Lincoln Southeast guy, went to Colorado. He intends to enter the transfer portal. We'll have a conversation today. We're not going to get into the super specifics of, hey, this is a guy that I would like for them to add, or this is a dude that they, Nebraska needs to go and get, or Creighton needs to go and get. But at the same time, I think you can totally look at both rosters right now, see, all right, who do they need to bring back? Who is top priority in terms of retainment? And then what do they need to add? And I think that doing that, and then also looking across the Final Four teams, the Elite Eight teams, this kind of college basketball in general, I think we're going to get right now you can get a pretty good field of what a market might look like for the guys that Nebraska and Creighton are going to try and acquire in the transfer portal. Funny enough, Josh Hodson, I think they're going to be competing for, I don't know if they'll be competing for the same specific guys, but I do think Nebraska and Creighton, when they get their own ducks in a row and figure out who they want to retain and whether or not they can actually retain them, I think they're going to be looking for similar types of players. And so that could be incredibly interesting. Maybe we get a Creighton versus Nebraska transfer portal duel for a point guard or a power forward or a center. So we will talk about that as we are unfortunately, nearing the end of what has been a great college basketball season, one that has been pretty historic in terms of viewership ratings on Fox, viewership ratings on ESPN. The NCAA tournament announced after the first and second round that it was one of their most viewed rounds that they've had, one of the most viewed weekends that they've had. And I think that we've had conversations with multiple people about how the fact that the quality of college basketball is definitely rising, in part due to NIL and the transfer portal. We'll also talk about politicians now getting involved in what they want college basketball eligibility to look like. I bookmarked this here, but in terms of legislation wanting to have 5 years and for each player and one transfer rule, and if you transfer again, you have to sit out a second year. I think if that's something that is going to be trying to push, right? If we're pushing, hey, you get 5 years to play 5 seasons of NBA of college basketball, and you get one free transfer, and then your second transfer you have to sit out a year. I think that is a very good idea. I totally support that. The one caveat that I would add is I think you have to add in a medical red shirt in there as well. You get one medical red shirt if you get hurt in the beginning of the year and you can't play for a full season. But we will see how all that transpires in the NCAA, and we will definitely watch how this transfer portal works out. You have to remember, Michigan playing in the NCAA Final Four, they picked up some of their best players through the transfer portal last season. Yaxel Lendenberg came from UAB, Adai Mara came from UCLA, Merez Johnson came from Illinois. So this transfer portal cycle, especially when we do those fun little graphics of where was everybody else playing last season on these teams, they're often filled with a ton of guys who were playing elsewhere. And so you actually don't win championships in the middle of April. You win championships in early April, but you definitely put yourself on the right path to building a championship team during this time. So we'll talk all about that when it comes to Nebraska and Creighton. And things we're looking out for the transfer portal. The NFL annual meetings are going on right now.
You're big on this.
This is big.
I like this.
There's some very big things that are happening.
We're learning things about each other as we go through our first year together. Big NFL meetings, guy.
Well, this one is pretty big in particular. The NFL Refereeing Association and the NFL are having their collective bargaining agreement right now, and they're trying to figure some things out. And the NFL wants more accountability, and they want more of a merited system. They want to be able to pay their top referees more money, and they want to be able to put those guys in more prominent games. And they also want to have a little bit more control on training underperforming referees. They're looking for more of a accountability system in particular. With this new CBA, with the NFL Refereeing Association. And it seems as if right now they're very far apart in terms of their negotiations. So much so that they are now looking to get replacement referees for the beginning of the season. And they're even going to have a vote next week. We talked about this yesterday in terms of the NFL Replay Center having a lot more control, being able to overturn calls they haven't been able to overturn before and actually create calls and instill calls that were missed on the field. And this is, so I read this CBS article because I want to clarify some things. They're going to have a vote. Let me read this here. According to ESPN, league owners are alarmed by the state of negotiations between the NFL and NFL Refereeing Association and authorized the onboarding of replacement referees in the coming weeks. The training of those officials will begin May 1st. This is a major step towards replacement referee calling games for the first time since 2012, and it's a couple weeks after the NFL began to build a list of college officials it could bring on if necessary. There's also going to be a vote next week where they could instill rules that allows the replay center to have a ton of leeway when it comes to adjusting calls on the field, because the last time they had replacement referees in 2012, it was a disaster for those 3 weeks. So much so President Barack Obama had to get involved. Like he had to like make a statement on things.
Whoa.
Yeah, seriously. I didn't even know that. I read that yesterday. So, yeah, it was not good the last time that they had replacement referees in the NFL, and we are definitely heading towards that. We are making steps towards that happening because the NFLRA and the NFL, the owners, the NFL itself just cannot come to an agreement. And so I think that's a story not a lot of people are talking about. I don't think a lot of people knew that until these league meetings. So that's something that is development that I want to talk about it. But it's also, too, the first time that we're seeing some of these coaches talk about their teams. Some of them are in very big seasons for them. I think it's a very big season for the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell and what they're going to do at the quarterback position. He talked yesterday, along with the co-owner Mark Wolf, about Kyler Murray. To me, it sounded like Kevin O'Connell was talking as if Kyler Murray is going to be their starting quarterback, which I think a lot of people thought that it was going to be more of a competition than anything. So I think that'll be incredibly interesting. I'm sorry, Josh, I didn't realize it wasn't in the StreamYard. Something went right.
All good, my man.
But at the same time, Dan Quinn had a great interview yesterday with First Things First with Danny Parkins and Willie Colon. It's a very big year for the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels was hurt. He was injured. Kind of ruined their season. But they did play very hard. Dan Quinn, I've always been impressed by the type of coach that he is. Obviously, 28-3 will live with him forever. But it's a very big year in Washington. You kind of get reminded of those things during the NFL league meeting. We also found out where the next Super Bowl in 2029 is going to be. I'm not happy about it. We also have found out who the Hard Knocks teams are going to be the next 2 years. What happened to Hard Knocks? What happened? It used to matter. It used to be awesome. It used to really carry training camp in a way. Like I remember watching the Miami Dolphins Hard Knocks with Joe Philbin, being like, "Oh my God!" Like, Ocho, he messed up. Vontae Davis got traded. Like I'm saying, like it used to the Hugh Davis, Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield, John Dorsey Hard Knocks. That was great. That was entertaining. New York Jets, Rex Ryan. Let's go and get a GD snack. All right. Now it's just feel like whatever. Like no one really cares anymore. Kind of sucks.
Well, the NFL has shifted to a model where you don't tell anyone anything ever. And that's trickled down to their television shows.
I still think we forgot, though, that the Giants did a whole Hard Knocks on their front office.
Yeah.
In a year where they made some pretty questionable decisions. In particular, letting Saquon Barkley go to their in-division rival, having Barkley win Offensive Player of the Year, and then that in-division rival won the Super Bowl. And you got a full behind-the-curtain look.
That's why teams don't want to do this.
I know. And somehow Joe Shane is still the general manager of the New York Giants. So, anyway, and things happen in the NFL meeting. We're also going to look at the NFL coaches picture. My God, in all its glory, in all its beauty. I love breaking it down. There are some, you can see who gets the tan up. You can see who's man spreading. You can see who's wearing shirts that are way too tight. You can see who's been in the weight room. You can see who's just not happy to be there. Ben Johnson looks like he wants to he just looks like he just is not enjoying his time at the NFL league meetings in any sort of capacity. Somebody who does have an all-time NFL league meeting coaches picture moment is Matt Rule, by the way. Have you seen Matt Rule at one? I think it was his second year. God. It's
I
great.
don't recall. I'm sure I've seen it.
It is an awesome picture. Mike McCarthy, by the way, back in the picture. Missed him. Kind of miss Mike McCarthy. We still haven't found out what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. We still have no clue whether or not he's going to be playing quarterback this season. At this point, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers should be drafting quarterback regardless of whether or not Aaron Rodgers ends up playing, but it's kind of unfair at this point to the Pittsburgh Steelers that they literally are in the month of March, about to be in April, a couple of weeks away from the NFL draft, and they don't know who their quarterback is. And honestly, I think we probably should have seen this coming. We probably saw this coming, honestly. So,
you saying that the Steelers should have seen Aaron Rodgers dragging his feet and getting all eyes on him despite his talent level not being where it needs to be?
It's just
you couldn't have seen that coming.
It has just felt like it's been everything other than football for Aaron Rodgers for the last 3 seasons. Granted, he had a pretty okay year last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He wasn't the worst ever.
He was not the worst ever.
He's probably still one of their better options in terms of who's going to play quarterback for them next season. But it's just really funny. He said that this was going to be a very quick decision, and now we're still waiting. Las Vegas is getting another Super Bowl. It seems like a great city. I can't fully speak to it because I haven't been there before. I've heard a lot about it. I know a lot of people who've been there plenty. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, my former co-host, Gary Sharp. They went to Vegas plenty. You hear the stories. They're getting too much. I'm getting way too much of Vegas. Vegas is like the Glenn Powell of cities right now. I'm just seeing him on my screen way too much. They've gotten two WrestleManias in back-to-back years, right? They're going to get another Super Bowl in 2029. In the last 9 years, they've gotten a pro hockey team, a pro football team. They're going to get a pro baseball team, and they're favored to be the selection for the expansion pro basketball team of the NBA.
That does remind me, stay tuned later this week, next week, the Frozen Four live from Vegas on our sister station 1180.
They are going to have the Big Ten tournament there.
Yeah.
The Big Ten basketball tournament is going to go there. F1 Las Vegas is making an announcement today.
Uh-oh.
All right. It may be that their tickets are on sale May 7th. That might be the announcement, but it could be an announcement that they're putting another F1 race in Vegas. They already have all the events ever. It's a little too much all at once. Okay, we can pump the brakes. I just feel like too, like there's some of these events, and this is more of a pro wrestling problem than an NFL problem, but we're just kind of recycling a lot of the same venues over and over and over and over again.
Some venues are good.
I know, but
others are mid.
We're just spending a lot of time in LA, Atlanta, and Las Vegas. And I understand it. Don't get me wrong. Big traveling hubs, good weather, good infrastructure, right? Allegiant Stadium, a state of the art, Mercedes-Benz Superdome, state of the art. Like it's all great and everything like that. Okay. I'm not pushing back on the fact that they have the infrastructure and they have the arenas and the stadiums and everything that you need in order to host big time events. I'm just saying, throw me in Nashville, throw me a bone. Let's put something in Charlotte. I don't know. Put something in Chicago. Let's put something in let's get it. Let's expand a little bit in terms of where we're putting these massive events. I feel like we're just kind of recycling the same places over and over again. And I'm not saying that we should completely abandon Vegas. I'm not saying that. They have done the legwork and what you need to do in order to host these events. And it seems like the people who go to these events are having a great time. It's just too much. I mean, they killed the Maui Invitational and they put the Players Era Classic there. They've killed the NIT and now we have the Crown in Vegas. I mean, we're putting everything in Vegas. Let's calm down a little bit.
Putting you on trial, Vegas.
I'm just
For
it's
murder.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I actually agree with you. This is a good take you have.
It's a lot going on. Let's just kind of broaden our horizons up a little bit. We put the Big Ten Media Days, not that anybody cared, but we put the Big Ten Media Days in Vegas. Andy goes, is Vegas the Glenn Powell of cities? To me, it is.
It's up at Middays with Matt on Twitter.
We've gotten a lot of Glenn Powell all at once. Okay. I like Glenn. He was awesome in Top Gun Maverick. And then since then, we have had no shortage of him. We gave Vegas the Golden Knights. And really, since that marker, we've had a complete snowball in terms of they get everything. They're going to have. Has there ever been a city that has gotten 4 pro sports teams as quickly as they're going to get them? They're going to have hockey, baseball, football, and basketball all within the span of like 12 years. Has there ever been a city? First off, the amount of cities that actually have 4 pro sports teams is way shorter than you think. There are a lot of cities that don't have all 4. Now, the cities that have all 4, some of them end up having a lot of them. I mean, technically, Los Angeles has more. Chicago has more than 4. New York has more than 4. But yeah, like has anyone ever gotten as many pro sports teams all as once as they have? I don't think they have. I don't think that's
I'm doing some quick research.
I don't think that's a thing at all. They've just gotten so much so quickly, and I think we just need to pump the brakes just a little bit. They're getting another Super Bowl.
The Yankees became the New York Yankees in 1913.
Okay.
The Giants were played their first season in New York in 1925. So that's a 12-year gap. The Rangers started in 26.
All right, 13. And then so the Knicks, when did the Knicks start? That couldn't have been until like 60 then.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's pull it up.
I think the Knicks started in
1946.
1946.
So I mean Vegas quicker than
New York. They're getting everything. They took the Maui. They took our media days. They took why are we having the Big Ten tournament in Las Vegas? I really don't think it's because we're playing favorites with the West Coast teams. And by the way, I know why. The hotels are nice. The Strip is great. The restaurants are awesome. All right. Vegas has a lot of money. I'm not questioning the infrastructure. I'm just getting Glenn Powell with Vegas. That's all I'm doing. He's doing The Running Man and that one rom-com with Sydney Sweeney. You know, it's just a lot. Now he's going to be in the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Are you going to take your kid to that?
Absolutely.
Have you taken your kid to the other Super Mario movie?
Oh yeah. Took him to that one, loved it. We watched it all the time. Was he a big fan
of it?
Yeah.
Are you a little concerned that your kid is going to know Mario through movies and not necessarily the games and the Wii games and the DS games and everything like that?
No, he has a Mario game. Got a couple of them, actually.
Does he have Super Sluggers? I can hook him up. I should bring all my... And yes, I say Mario. It's Mario Lemieux. That's how I grew up saying Mario. I'm going to say it. There's nothing you can do. Go Creighton. All right. You can all calm down. We have all the YouTube streamers like, it's Mario. I don't care.
They love hyperfixating on the way you pronounce words.
I have a slight lisp.
Instead of just...
You're all going to have to deal with it.
Instead of just letting it be, man. Whatever.
It's going to be fine. But when you grew up with... Okay, John, immediately. Mario, really? Just saying. One of the greatest hockey players of all time. When you grow up in a household that, admires Lemieux, and you say it that way, I can't shake it.
You had a house that admired Lemieux?
Of course.
Of course?
Of course.
You didn't consider him like a rival, a star on a...
No. My dad liked Lemieux more than he liked Roenick.
Okay.
That was the thing. I don't know what my dad had against Jeremy Roenick. I mean, I think a lot of people have things against Jeremy
it seems like he's not beloved.
Not really. Not on the slide. I mean, it took Chelio so really, 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 really long time to get his number retired. But anyway, we have a good show ahead of everybody today. Coming up next, we're going to talk some college basketball, some transfer portal. What does Creighton need? What does Nebraska need? can Creighton get things back on track? Can Nebraska be better than what they were this season, next season? We talk about that next year on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
I love how you're taken aback by how much I care about the NFL the NFL league meetings.
It's just something different than the previous host of this time slot.
The previous host of this time slot probably didn't know what was going on, and when he did find out it was going on, probably made a lot of very funny jokes about it. This current host probably takes it way too seriously.
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns owner did talk, though, and say that that Deshaun Watson very much is in play to start for the team this season.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately.
Still not trading Myles Garrett, though. I actually adjusted Myles Garrett's contract not to make more cap space for them. It actually made him more tradable the way that they adjusted his contract. And then
I saw one of the Chit Chat shows talking about that.
Did you see, too, that they had proposed a rule that you can trade more than 3 years of draft picks in advance, that they wanted to up it from 3 to 5?
They got laughed at, and then the Cleveland Browns said, no, guys, it was a bit.
No, it wasn't a bit. Why would you up that number? Why would you want to say, hey, you can trade more than 3 first-round draft picks? It's because you got Myles Garrett on your roster. I'll just say this about Garrett. You can't have your cake and eat it, too. You can't say, I don't want to go from Cleveland to Canton, and I always dreamed of winning a Super Bowl, and then not stick to your trade request and then sign a very long-term lucrative deal with one team that actually makes it harder for you to get traded. Like you can't do both. You can't say, oh, I want out and I want to win a Super Bowl, and it's not about having an individual great career. I want to have team success, and then also sign a contract that is insane that keeps you there for an extended period of time.
Well, you can't go from Cleveland to Canton and win a Super Bowl on the way, so
no, you can't.
You have to pick one.
The Cleveland Browns are going to be they're over under this year for wins of 6.5.
Sorry, Fanta.
They're going to be uncompetitive once again. Cleveland Browns last year had a great defense. Like that defense was the caliber.
Super Bowl caliber defense.
No, not a joke. But that offense was such a train wreck because of the fact that they traded all of those picks and gave all that money to a guy who hasn't even come remotely close to being worth what the deal was. And by the way, they traded for that guy when he was coming out of a year-long absence because of a massive controversy. So once I really shouldn't get upset and start asking, what are the Cleveland Browns doing? I don't think
it's March 31st, my man. You got time to worry about what the Cleveland Browns are doing.
Can I be real with you? I'm not. I'm not worried at all. Dude, I am worried about what the Nebraska Cornhuskers are going to do for basketball. This is a magical season. It's a magical, magical season. And what made it magical is because there weren't a ton of expectations heading into the season. There weren't a lot of people who thought, at least from a national perspective. And if you want to claim that in the preseason that you thought this team could end up being pretty good, good for you. But they were picked to finish 14th in the Big Ten. That's what made it magical. That's what made it special. And that's kind of where magical seasons dawn from. Magical seasons dawn from the lack of expectations, and honestly, sometimes the opposite expectations, that you don't think they're going to be very good, and then you get shocked to see your beloved team go above those expectations and do things that you thought weren't going to be able to be done, like go to the Sweet 16 and be a couple points away from making it to the Elite Eight. But what comes after a magical season is the season of expectations. And that's always the toughest one. I've been through the 2015 Chicago Cubs in my life. I've said it multiple times. I had way more fun in 2015 than I did in 2016, up until they won the World Series. When they won the World Series, it made it all worth it. But the build up to that moment was incredibly stressful because you expected them to be great. And you had felt what it was like for them to be great. And you wanted that feeling once again. And I think that's how we're going to feel with Nebraska basketball, right? Nebraska basketball won 2 games in the NCAA tournament. And I don't get the vibe at all that anybody's like, okay, cool, we did it. What's football doing? You know, I don't get the feeling in the slightest that people go, hey, that was a great experience. I'm good. Don't need that again. It's okay if we've never accomplished that again. What are the other teams? What are they going to accomplish? I get the vibe. And I have, and this is how I feel. I want it again. I want more. All right. I got a fever. And the only prescription is more Sweet 16s. Oh. All right. And you look at this roster, and if they're able to retain the players they're able to retain, they're going to be able to contend for that again. Now, I think it would be a very bold statement to say they're going to do more than what they did this year, next year. As of this point right now, where you don't know for sure if you're going to be able to keep all the guys that you want to keep, and you don't know how they're going to be able to attack the transfer portal. Granted, all signs really indicate that they're going to be able to do things they haven't done in the transfer portal in the past because they have way more support, not only from donors, but also from the athletic department and the athletic director himself. I think it would be bold to say, hey, they're going to win 28 games again, finish second in the Big Ten regular season, and end up making the Sweet 16. That would be a very, very bold statement. But if they're able to keep Frager, if they're able to keep Price Sanford, and then you look at the other pieces that they have around those two, Barricade Buxingel and Cale Jacobson, the kind of do-it-all guys, the glue guys, kind of keep things together on both sides of the floor. You get Connor Essegian back, him coming off the bench, potentially being a flamethrower. I think Essegian kind of showed 2 years ago that at any given point in time that he could have the Connor Essegian game, and he could be at any point what Jamarcus Lawrence was in Bloomington, Indiana, where he just hits a bunch of shots and goes off for 27 points. I think that's a very interesting piece. Coming off the bench, you have Leo Curtis, 7-foot guy, who in his minutes, very sparing, but in his minutes, proved that if he can improve his foot speed and he can become quicker and a little bit more coordinated, that he could be a legitimate rim protector and somebody who alters shots in the defensive end and be a nightmare in terms of being a presence in the paint on the offensive end. You got 2 4-star guys in Colin Rice and Jacob Lanier who are coming from the class of 2026 that are coming from high school. And then, a guy that I've heard some things about. I heard his name get dropped. It was a text message from one of our listeners. It was like, hey, I'm hearing some things about this guy. And I was able to text somebody today. And hey, what's going on? Will Cooper, the guy who transferred from Air Force last season. Cooper did not play this season, but he's from Omaha, Nebraska, 6'6" sophomore forward. There have been some just droppings of, hey, he looks good. Hey, he's playing well. Hey,
does he look the part?
Hey, I haven't been told that specifically.
Okay.
But hey, he could be an interesting piece off the bench for them. So those are just the guys that you have if you're able to keep everybody together. I think that's a very good core to begin with. And then if you're able to add the things that you want to add, which I think immediately on my wish list would be floor general point guard, followed up by spacing 4 and rim protecting 5. If I were to make a list of my wish list in order, of my needs in order, I would go spacing 4, floor general 1, rim protecting 5. If you're able to get 3 of those players that can fit somewhere in your 8-man rotation, I think you're cooking, man. I think you got a lot of things looking up for you. And the reason I think a lot of people would put floor general point guard number 1, because you're losing 2 of those guys, in Jamarcus and in Sam, which, going through everything and writing down all of my notes, there were multiple times where I thought, I don't know how they're going to replace Hoiberg. Like, I just don't know how you find a guy who does all the things that he does on both sides of the floor that also is the culture setter and foundational builder that he is, along with the fact that you can't grab a 5-year senior who's grown up in the program in front of the eyes of the fans. You can't acquire that in the transfer portal. But I think that your number one acquisition, at least in my eyes, should be a spacing forward, just because obviously from an offensive perspective, when you have more spacing on the floor with Fred Hoiberg, his offense just flows better because that's just the type of coach that Fred is. And if you give him more versatile offensive players, that allows him to do more and allows him to show his just intelligence and creativity when it comes to the offensive end. But also, too, I think what's very important as well when it comes to acquiring a spacing four for Nebraska basketball is that it amplifies the impact of Bearcat Buchtel. When Bearcat was expected to establish the space along with Joanne Gary, when Bearcat was expected to do more than just, hey, play awesome defense, grab some boards, be incredibly versatile, make some cuts to the basket, when he was expected to be the third option at times in the offensive end, that's when you got, man, this guy's frustrating to watch. You add a spacing four on that offense, you give him more space for Price, you give him more space for Frager, you add that in with a point guard, right, that can kind of conduct everything that's going on the floor. You allow Bearcat to kind of be that 6'10" forward that does it all, especially on the defensive side, and you don't have to expect too much of him from an offensive side. So I think that's very important too. And then obviously, look, you just need Price and Braden. You know, it's hard to think that Price is going to be anything other than what he was this season and potentially could get better. And Braden made massive strides from being a true freshman to a redshirt freshman, especially in the offseason. It's hard to think that he can't potentially take another jump. Maybe it won't be as big. I think it might be a little bit unrealistic to think that he'll take as big of a jump. But you need somebody who's going to get those guys the ball. And I think the more astounding thing about this whole conversation about what Nebraska has potentially coming back, what they could add in the transfer portal, and the impacts that they, you know, the prospect of maybe them being better than what they were this season compared to next season. The most astounding thing is how few players they have to add to do that. You got to add 3 guys. And that's by the way, to be like a great team. Even if you add 2 of those guys, even if you get 2 of those 3, and I think it goes without saying that you got to get a point guard in that. But if you get a point guard and you get a spacing 4, and let's say, hey, you're gonna trust the development of Leo Curtis that he can be that rim protecting center that you're going to need. If you just get those 2 guys, I still think you have one hell of a roster, and a roster that just makes sense. It makes sense from a just a basketball perspective, and it makes sense from what they're trying to accomplish on the offensive end when it comes to Fred. So, you know, I think another important thing too, and it was a great insight from Robin. It's not so much about the skill as much as it is about the fit. And we're going to have this conversation with Michael Severe about, we talk so much about player development. Players got to get better. Is he a player development coach? All this and all that. But I think there's a conversation to be had about coach development. A development of just coaches becoming better coaches, and coaches understanding what you have to do, not only to be successful from a macro perspective, but what do you have to be successful from a Nebraska perspective? How am I successful at the University of Nebraska? Because how you might approach things as a coach in one place is not necessarily guaranteed to work at Nebraska. And I think it took Fred, and I think it's very clear it took Fred a while to figure that out. To go through and be like, okay, maybe we can't build it all the way through high school first. Maybe we have to dip in the transfer portal. Okay, we have to have more of a defensive mindset. All right, building this culture is more important than anything. Finding the right fit is what we need to prioritize in terms of, instead of, we got to get the 5-star guy, we got to get the NBA guy, or we got to get this guy. No, there's different aspects of this. And I think Fred, and I'm going to ask this about Michael, just to spoil it. I think EJ Barthel has done this too from a football perspective. I think they have gone through their time at Nebraska, adjusted their approach, and have figured things out about how you're supposed to build a roster and how you're supposed to develop players in Lincoln specifically. And they've changed some things about their coaching style and how they view things in order to be successful. And Fred has done that tremendously, prioritizing culture and prioritizing defense. But I think they need to prioritize size. That's why I'm very, very big on Nebraska. If anything of the transfer portal needs to get bigger in the front court. Here's a stat for you. Since 1980, 26 of the Naismith Players of the Year have either been power forwards or centers. Since 2018, 6 of the last 7 Naismith Player of the Years have been power forwards or centers. You look through the current makeup of the Final Four. Who are the best players on everybody's teams, and how are these teams built? Arizona is built so much on size. Michigan, Morez Johnson, Ade Mara. Yaxel Lendenborg won the Big Ten Player of the Year being this 6'7", do-it-all kind of utility guy. You look at UConn, they rode Caravan and Terrace Reed, their boys in the front court, to go ahead and make that 19-point comeback and be in the Final Four. Look at Illinois. Illinois is a massive team. Humerkow, 6'9". Merkovich is 6'11". Ivasic is 6'11". Tomislav Ivasic is 7'1". Jake Davis is their backup forward. He's 6'6". Keaton Wagler, 6'6". You got to be big. You got to have size. And I think that, they have that with Price and Braden. They have that with Bear K. Kale's a little bit on the smaller side, but he does so much that makes up for that. You have something cooking here with Leo Curtis and the 2 recruits that you got in the class of 2026. But if they can add a bruiser, a spacer, and a floor general, I know that's a lot to ask, and it's a lot of money, and it's probably unrealistic that they get all 3 of those guys at a high quality. But if they can keep these guys together, if they can really keep Frager and Sanford together and added some pieces in the portal, man, I don't think this is going to be just one magical season. I think this has the potential to be something that you can build on year after year, year after year. And that's a crazy spot to be in when you look at the history of Nebraska basketball. All right, we have one of our favorite interviews every week coming up next. The executive director of the Jet Award Foundation, whose gala is on April 2nd at the Steel House in Omaha. Michael Severe coming up next here on Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We welcome in Executive Director of Jet Award Foundation, 2 days away from his big gala held in the Steel House in Omaha. Mr. Michael Severe joins us here on Middays event. How are you?
Could I address both you and Josh off the top?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Josh knows what this is. I think you know, but I don't know what they teach over at University of Nebraska Lincoln. You know what a POP is?
No.
In radio?
No.
So it's when you cut something for proof of your performance, right?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
a highlight of a show.
Okay.
Let me just say that saying that The Godfather came out in the 90s is not a proof of performance. And to be cut for a POP is just mean by one, I'm guessing, Josh Otson.
I'm aware.
Okay.
Look, sometimes you gotta sit in it.
There's no proof of performance there, Josh. There was no POP there that I could figure out.
I think our other POP is pretty good though. The Participation Trophy Award. Have you heard that one? That's good POP.
Okay. Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir.
So The Godfather came out in 1972, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. What famous movie featured a flashback sequence showing the marquee of The Godfather on the marquee and a license plate, making them realize that they were back in time?
Well, not 1972. I mean, couldn't be Back to the Future.
No.
Because that was in 55.
I will give you a hint. It's a baseball movie.
Okay.
It's Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams.
Okay.
When they go to the doctor's office.
Yeah.
They realize they're back in time by the marquee on the sign and the license plate.
It's a clue.
It's a clue. Yeah, exactly. A little bit of hint for you there. Mister, did you see Field of Dreams ever?
Yeah. Once when I was like 12.
Okay.
Moonlight Graham, and if you build it, they will come.
Exactly. And The Godfather was back in 1972, not the 1990s.
Yeah. Okay. It was a mistake. Calm down.
That's not a mistake. No. There are mistakes. Like you throw an inside pitch to a guy who's a good inside hitter. That's a mistake.
Yeah.
You saying that The Godfather came out in the 1990s is not a mistake.
Well, I watched.
It's a drug problem.
It's a what problem?
A drug problem.
What's a drug problem?
Thinking that The Godfather came out in the 1990s. It's a drug problem.
All right, it's fine. It came out 30 years before. How are you?
It came out a few years before you were born. Yeah,
30.
Yeah, I was 3 when it came out, personally.
Okay, good for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So what's going on?
Stressed?
Another famous line from a great movie. I have seen stuff involving this gala that would turn you white.
What have you seen?
Oh my God! This is all stuff I got to tell you off air. This is
really
the stuff that is happening among people in rooms. This room that can be. I'm telling you, bro. Here's somebody right here.
Is something that is
right now, just right now.
Are the things that are happening in terms of the Jet Award Gala, are they mirroring what happened in The Godfather?
No. Nobody's dying.
Okay.
But it's close to what, you know what it's like?
What is it like?
Late Sunday night show that used to come on, Desperate Housewives. It's much more like that show is what I'm feeling currently.
I was going to ask if Caden Weegen woke up in his bed with a dead horse's head.
No, he's fine. He's fine. If I was only dealing with Caden and his family,
I was about to
this
say
would be so easy. This would be so easy. But I'm not. But I'm not just dealing with those people. And when I say those people, I'm talking about those people.
No, I know who I think I know who you're talking about. You know, a lot of them are on the more elderly side, and
I was telling my mother these stories, and she was like, and she's 89, right? She'll be 90 September. She's seen a lot. She's like, what? Yeah, like that.
I'm even shocked that you're saying this all on the air, but good for you.
I'm telling you what it actually is. You know, it's a lot. Yeah. It could be one of 15 stories, Matt. This isn't one thing. This isn't 2 things. This is
everybody can get it. Everybody's making it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Everybody's throwing. Everybody thinks that The Godfather was made in the 90s, is what you're telling me.
I'm telling you, no one thinks that, like, ever. You know, I didn't. One of the funniest things that ever happened to me. This happened to me a bunch of times, though. I would go to movies. I went to a particularly great movie when I was in the Army, and we had to be back by 9:00. So I had to leave the movie early. Never knew that in a particular movie, a very good movie, that a certain character was beaten to death with a bat and then thrown into a grave with his brother. Didn't know it till years later because I had to leave the movie early to get back for bed check when I was in the Army. Yeah.
What movie was that?
That's enough hint right there.
I don't watch movies. Stop it. This is very clear. You want to come on here and talk about things I don't do.
You have seen this movie, though.
I haven't.
I was thinking it sounded like Casino, but I don't know if the timeline.
Well, there was a spoiler for Casino.
That's what I was trying to avoid. The spoiler. I know it's a late spoiler. It's like a 35-year spoiler or whatever, but yeah.
Well, okay. I actually am no, it's my fault for it being spoiled, but it's on Netflix now, and I see it all the time.
Have you seen it?
No, but I've been thinking about, that's a movie I should get to. So now I know that Pesci gets his ass beaten and thrown into a grave.
It's an amazing scene. They shot it in one take, by the way. I prefer Casino to Goodfellas. I know it's a bold statement. I know.
Okay, I'm going to be real with you. I liked Goodfellas. I watched Goodfellas 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Good.
I wasn't as taken aback by it as a lot of people were. I really wasn't. I thought
Casino's better. Casino's better.
I honestly think that if I watched it, there could be definitely a possibility that I believe that.
Yeah.
I think Goodfellas came out really, really hot.
It did.
Like the beginning of the first hour 15 is great. It's exciting. And then it kind of just turns into his drug problem and his family life. And then
that 15, 20 minutes of the frenetic single camera helicopter shots, I remember my heart beating out of my chest watching that the first time.
I kind of wanted to go back to just all the mob stuff and all the things that went into it. And I wanted, the dancing scene where they go through, there's Tony 2 times and Michael Franchese. I would have same. Okay. I'm curious as this thing. I think Rocky 2 Rocky 2 could have been better if they removed a lot more of the Rocky scenes and had more Apollo scenes.
Okay, so I love Rocky 2.
Yeah.
And I know it's not popular. I know it's not. People make fun of the whole hospital parts of it and her going, win. They make fun of, what are we waiting for? People make fun of all that, right? I love Rocky 2.
I love Rocky 2.
And I probably love Rocky 2 as much as I love any of the movies. And I love them all as if they were all my children. Except for Rocky 5, which, redhead stepchild she is. But I'm just saying, Rocky 2, it's got more drama. It's got more reality. Like, he can't get a job because he can't act. They want him to do commercials. I love Rocky 2. I've been in that house where he lived, too. The house he lived in is on the block of my friend's house in Philly, where I'm going for the draft. It's on that. They actually had to switch the street direction to make the movie the way they did so he could take off with his motorcycle. Yeah.
I wanted more Apollo in Rocky 2. I wanted more Apollo. I love the whole, his kids are getting made fun of and people think he fixed the fight and his wife doesn't want to be around him anymore and anything like I love all that.
You get a lot of them in 3.
I know.
Best line in 3. Can he swim with a name like Rock? What a great line.
I haven't seen 3 in a while. All right, let's talk sports.
Yeah.
I am
Rocky sports.
No, I know. But we're going to get 3 questions in here. I've never been more uninterested in an NFL draft. I've never been more I couldn't give less of a damn. I'm reading less articles. I used to watch tape on some of these guys. I don't really care. I used to I don't know. This just seems like a very uninteresting, bland, kind of boring. There's not a ton of quarterback prospects. I don't even think the quarterback prospect that's going to be taken number 1 should. If I was Vegas, I've said this multiple times, I would try and get off of it. Get as many picks as possible, punt, look to the next year's draft where you are going to have multiple quarterback prospects. It's just a lot of the players that are premium players that could end up being awesome are in positions that aren't necessarily premium positions, like off-ball linebackers and running backs. And, I think also, too, it's hard for me to subscribe to Reuben Bain when you see that even on his tape, there's some length issues that he even has in college. Can you convince me otherwise, or do you agree?
No, I know this is going to happen. I talked about this a couple of months ago. Anytime you don't have a bunch of quarterbacks off the top or a bunch of skill wide receivers, because we've had several drafts like that. I get it. I'm a fan of this draft. I was just sitting down talking to Tim Verghese about this before the spring game. We're gonna do a draft preview. He's gonna come on a show, Let It Fly, and we're gonna do a draft preview because I'm intrigued by a bunch of things. It's a first round that only has about probably 12, 13 tier 1 players, which is going to make it really interesting on what happens and what gets, because what normally happens is one of those positions that's not one of the tier 1s, one of the players go that's a tier 2, and then there's a run on them, right? So we were talking about how the interior defensive linemen, how you don't really know what's going to happen with that because all the conversation is on the rush ends, right?
Yeah.
So the kid from Alabama, right? Like where does he kind of fit in there? Like where does he fit in? You know,
Clemson, Clemson.
Yeah, Peter Wood, like Woods, right? You're talking about Woods. Yeah, another guy who underachieved throughout his college career, was a 5-star guy. But see, that makes it intriguing to me. I also believe that we're going to get a bunch of trades because somebody's going to have a board that Peter Woods is their 12th best player. Somebody's going to have him that he's their 33rd best player.
Great point.
Somebody's going to jump up and go and get it. And I think that's like that. Another guy, a good example of that is the other defensive end from Indiana, right? So the other guy, or the other guy from Miami and
Messidor. I know Messidor
from Miami, and then Indiana has another guy that's going to be later in the draft. And you look at the numbers, and you go, "Wow, that's not that big of a Kamara, right?" So Kamara, you look at Kamara, and you go, Kamara to a sophomore year was incredible. Had a bunch of injuries, had some problems. They changed the way they played him, so all of a sudden he wasn't getting the pass rush he was getting before. Somebody probably has a much higher number on him than other teams. So I just think it's going to be really interesting when we get going, probably by pick 12, Dallas at 12. From there on, all bets are off, right?
Yeah.
Casey Concepcion could be a second-round pick, could go as high as like 16. That's a huge, from a guy who is a kind of not a project, dropped a bunch of passes in college and is a gadget guy. But I find it very intriguing. But I know when it's not quarterbacks and it's not a whole bunch of skilled wide receivers, and it's been a long time since there's a bunch of skilled running backs. I get it. This is what I thought it would be for a lot of people.
Well, you're draft expert. I'm draft plus. And so that's just like you love it no matter what. For me, I feel like I still have to. I'm still going to read. Like there's still guys I'm very intrigued on. Like Monroe Freeling, we talked about him. I mean, he's prototypical 6'7", 330-pound guy, great arms, but it's like it's not like the tape was fully there. Does he fall to Cleveland? Cleveland could make off like a bandit in this draft, right? With 6 and 26. You got you bring up a position you didn't bring up that kind of is the same way. After Delaney out of LSU, I don't know what happens to the cornerbacks. I think you're right. There's a lot of cornerbacks that kind of go up and down. And then I think the tight ends are pretty intriguing in terms of if you want to get interesting in the middle rounds, right? 2, 3, and 4. Where does Stowers from Vanderbilt go? Where does the kid from Ohio State go? How far does Roush from Stanford get up to? So
I think Stowers. I know he's not going to go in the first round, but if Eli Stowers goes in the first round, I wouldn't be shocked. He's a first round. He is a touchdown scorer. And a tight end, that's what you want. I don't want to hear about the way he doesn't block. I don't care. He's a touchdown scorer. And so he should go in the first round. I know he won't go to the second round.
I know that it might not fit the description of the coach and what they're trying to do, and it probably isn't one of their top things to get. But if Jeremiah Love drops to 7 and Washington can pair him up with Jaden Daniels, I don't see how you pass on that. All right, question number 2.
They have so many other needs, though.
They do. That's what I'm saying. They probably would need another rush end or a D lineman or something like that. But once again, I think that'd be hard to pass up. All right, question number 2, real quick. Biggest thing that stood out to you in the spring game?
I mean, Jamal Rule, everything you heard about him from people, about the way he was doing, what he was doing in practice and in scrimmages, you saw that. The other thing was, I would say, some of the shapes guys were in. I mean, Rule's one of them, added, 10, 15 pounds since he's been on campus. You could see it in him, what he's done. Mosey is lean, looks like he's really well put together. I thought Van Poppel looked like he was in better shape. Definitely Vincent Shavers. I thought he trimmed up a lot. I think that look was big. I think Charles starting at corner, and I didn't know about this until right before the game, and someone told me that he was going to be starting. I didn't realize he had made that kind of jump. And it's great for him because he's probably one of the best he is one of the best athletes on the team. It's not really close.
No, that's why he was recruited.
Yeah, and so him starting at the second corner position is really intriguing. But you've got about 6 or 7 guys in that secondary that could all start.
Yeah.
They all could.
Yeah.
So I mean that's intriguing to me as well that Charles was starting.
You had a tweet. Nebraska's got a good running back coach, and I've talked about this on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
You look at EJ Barthel. I don't know if you remember this, but he was rumored to be up for the Texas running back job.
I remember.
And people were like, "Why?" Right there, people were like, "Why is he getting poached?" Right?
Yeah.
And I think in the last year, he's made some massive impacts. Right? Emmett Johnson, the recruiting in Chicago, what they've done with Rule.
I think it's more than that even. It's more than that even. Yeah. So go back to UConn and look how they produced at UConn when he was the coach there. Dante Dowdell, if folks remember, was not playing well at all when he first got to Nebraska. He was really struggling. And then he goes into spring and he looks really slow. He comes out in the Colorado game like a different back. Now, I know he had the asthma issues and now, Emmett Johnson was the fourth best, well, he was the fourth in terms of their lineup that year, right? He was the fourth guy, ends up becoming all Big Ten.
Oh no. Oh no. Michael. I think we can end up summarizing what Michael was going to say. Emmett Johnson was the fourth running back behind Ramir Johnson, Gabe Irvin Jr., and Anthony Grant, and ended up becoming an all Big Ten running back. This is the first. Michael Severe prides himself on being good at electronics and having great internet. And he's frozen out. This is absolutely ridiculous. Not a first-round performance.
This is unprecedented.
This actually is unprecedented. Is he? All right, I guess we're going to cut it.
All right.
Got to hit a break. We have the odd news. That sucks. Don't forget, Jet Award Foundation having their gala Thursday, Steelhouse in Omaha. Go to the Jet Award website to go ahead and purchase some tickets.
I'll be at the Steelhouse.
Yes. Is that what I said?
Whatever could get me to be at the Steelhouse.
Oh, is this the thing you don't like the Steelhouse?
Yeah, it's an unnecessary venue.
Whoa, why do you say that? Is it just we have too many venues already?
We have a bajillion venues in this town. We don't need one more for, I'm going to be generous when I say mid-level acts to perform.
Whoa!
We have plenty of those.
I've been waiting to go to the Steelhouse. To your point, I've never been intrigued by somebody who was playing there enough to buy a ticket to go and see them. So this is the first time I'll be at the Steelhouse. I'm very excited. But don't forget, go to the Jet Award Foundation website if you want to go ahead and be at the gala. Great venue, great time. Michael puts together an incredible event happening April 2nd on Thursday. All right, we're going to wrap it up here on Middays with Matt with Michael Severe. The Odd News with Josh Odd's son coming up next.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
Josh,
Matt,
lunchtime, baby. What do you got today?
I wish I had a lunch right now.
I packed a lunch today.
Whoa, what'd you pack? Let's go over it.
Do you want to split it with me?
No, absolutely
we can split it.
no.
It's a big sandwich.
Matt, no, I would feel horrible.
Okay. I packed a croissant sandwich with ham and Swiss cheese. I've noticed, I was looking
Excellent
at
plan.
I told you I'm cutting down on my spending and whatnot. Like I'm getting rid of a bunch of subscriptions. I'm no longer going out with all these young people and buying these cheap drinks that add up over time. I've been looking at my bank account. I'm like, I'm spending like $8 to $12 on coffee and bagels and all that stuff. And I love my pals at Dundee Double Shot. Shout out.
Best in town.
Shout out Nosy Rosie. All right. She's the best. But here's the thing. I gotta keep a little cash to myself here. So I went to Walmart and I bought a bunch of croissants, ham, and Swiss cheese. I'm like, I'm a ham, Swiss cheese, croissant sandwich guy. I'm a croissant-wich guy, if you will.
Matt, you're going to think I'm making fun of you or patronizing you. I'm not when I say this. That is very adult of you, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
You're in like 3 days, you're going to go, boy, this is stupid. I wish I could have all the things that I have money to have.
I know.
And you're going to go, okay, I'll just get a coffee today. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Don't stick to this.
Well, my roommate brought an espresso machine.
Whoa.
And so we're doing it together. We're like, we don't buy coffee anymore. We are making it here. I actually am thinking about using my United Miles to buy some more coffee adjacent items.
Excellent.
Okay. Because it's an investment we have to make. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm going to be one of those idiots, and not idiots, but like, I think the people who get super, super, super into coffee, like really, really into coffee, are a little weird. And my cousin's husband now is one of those guys, and all he wants to do is talk about his beans and how he like grinds them and roasts them, and how he aerates them, and like all this, the pour over, and he's got a whole little like bar. Like that's too much.
Yeah, no.
I want to be a pod guy, but I think I'm out. I make my own iced Americanos now.
Hell yeah.
I know. It's great. All right. We got time for 2 news stories.
Okay, 2. Okay, perfect. We go to Johannesburg. That's in South Africa.
Nice. Okay.
Where a 75-year-old woman running for mayor went snorkeling in it's a very large pothole. Some would call it a trench. It's a very large pothole to protest the city's lack of, filling the potholes.
Ha!
Helen
got a disease.
No, Helen Zeal, a well-known South African politician, wore a wetsuit, a mask, and a snorkel as she doggy paddled through a pool of muddy brown water in an upscale Johannesburg suburb. The pool has been there for about 3 years because a burst water pipe had not been properly fixed. Gee, I hope nobody downtown gets any ideas.
I was about to say that. You should go snorkeling in the sinkhole.
It'd be good for the station if I got some pub and some
but
virility.
I don't think our relationship with Mayor Ewing would really skyrocket if we were to do that.
But if it gets the pothole filled, this is a sinkhole downtown.
I think we should just go ahead and ask Mayor Ewing the next time. We have pretty easy access to Mayor Ewing through our friends. We can just get him on and be like, hey, bud.
Hey, we're going to fill this thing?
Seriously. All right. Last story.
This is a huge honor for Rocco Camarota. He's been named Bagger of the Year. He works at Publix, the Sewanee, Georgia location, to be specific. He took part in the National Grocers Association Best Bagger Championship.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm not joking when I tell you this event was held in Las Vegas earlier this month.
Wait, so the NGABB C? Okay.
That's right, Matt. You paced that out perfectly.
I didn't realize it.
You took the space in the exact right spot. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm getting better. I'm reading the emails before they go on the air now. Just like me packing a lunch.
Growing up before our very eyes. Rocco competed with 17 other baggers in different states. The competition required speed, weight distribution, and skill. Rocco excelled in all 3. Well, really? You think so? He won the whole freaking thing.
Can I be honest with you?
Please.
I'm in full support of this.
He got $10,000 for
What?
winning this contest.
My God.
And a trophy.
What do you do? Buy more bags for practice?
Oh no. You walk into your Publix and you go,
Guess what I did?
I'm bagger of the year. I'm getting a cardboard cutout. You're paying for it. You're getting the good bags. Not those plastic ones that stick together. Like,
Okay, are you a double bag guy?
no.
Are you a self-checkout man?
Yes.
I don't think I've been to a regular. I think I've been to one regular checkout in the last year.
I hate idle chit chat.
That makes sense.
What are you doing? Oh, what are you doing tonight?
You don't need to,
I'm
happens at
buying-
the grocery store.
I'm buying eggs, ma'am. Like we don't have to make conversation. Thank you for making. You're doing your job. You're being pleasant. Like just I'm not the one.
And
okay?
look, you're talking to a guy who is in an industry where, AI is a threat to us in some sort of capacities and, creativity is being threatened. So I don't want to make the notion that I'm better at people's jobs than they are.
Mhm.
But I know how to bag some groceries now. I double bag everything. I know how to sort everything. They don't. Here's what they do. I like putting all my liquids in one bag. I like putting all the meat in one bag. I like putting all the frozen food in one bag. Like I like having it all organized. And when you go ahead and you go through a regular checkout, you kind of have to hint it at them in a way. You kind of have to put them all in that order
That's right.
in order for them to actually do it. And even then, there's not a guarantee that they're going to pack the bags that way. I know that I can just do it myself and I organize my basket or my cart and then I just go.
Mhm.
So,
right.
so I just don't, I love our grocery workers. Don't get me wrong. If you're a cashier, anything like that, you're working at Target, Walmart, Hy-Vee, we love you. We
Yeah.
support you.
It's a me problem.
Right?
I fully
It's just-
admit this.
It's just, I just know how to please myself. I just know how to get done what I want to get done. Simple as
Who
that.
better than you?
Don't mark that. All right. Coming up next, we talked about Nebraska basketball. Let's talk a little Creighton basketball, too. All that and more here on 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
I'm officially annoyed. Breaking. Shocker.
Upset of the century there.
I was thinking last night, as I was going through all my thoughts about Nebraska basketball, and I got really,
As
really,
one does
I got-
before their head hits the pillow.
well, this was me like pacing. This was me walking. I'm just all about walking.
You are.
I got really annoyed last year when everyone was like, this football team's going to be the next year's Indiana. You know, who's going to be this year's Indiana? Who's going to come and do this? Who's going to shock everybody? Who's going to make the college football playoff that we think is going to be bad, right?
Probably no one.
Yeah, and exact. Thank you. Like, we were so obsessed with that question. It was so many articles were written about that prompt. So many different hosts and people that were interviewed or asked who's going to be the next Indiana and all that stuff. And it was just simply, you know, things can just be things one time. They don't have to continue to happen. Like they could just be anomalies, right?
Some situations are special. Some situations are unique.
I thought of it. I caught myself thinking about this, and then I go, I don't want to hear this. And already I read an article today, locally, that talks about this.
Ooh, who's he calling out?
I'm not calling this person out because they're actually one of the, if not the best writer, I think.
Whoa.
Okay. And I love them. I love talking to them. We don't have them on the show as much anymore.
Josh Peterson.
No. But this is going to annoy me. And if I see On 3 or 247 articles or this, just, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to be annoyed about it. Let's not try and figure out who's going to be this year's Keaton Wagler. Okay. A lot of people are going to be like, who's going to be the 3-star nobody saw coming that ends up being a lottery pick? Who's going to be this year's Wagler? Who's going to be this year's, breakout star? Sam wrote a great article today. Sam McEwen wrote a phenomenal article today.
This is a different article.
No, the same article that I'm talking about. It was great. It was a mailbag article. It was everybody asking him questions. About Husker sports.
So it's idiot readers' questions, not his.
It's not his.
Okay.
But he does say he is asked, and something that we did touch on. He's asked about the 2026 Nebraska basketball recruits, Colin Rice and Jacob Lanier. Colin Rice, the 4-star, 81st nationally in the country, 6'7", 180 pounds. He's a small forward.
Pretty good.
And Jacob Lanier, 6'5", 180 pounds, 4-star nationally, 96. McEwen writes, Lanier is a riser. He led Little Rock Parkview Magnet, that's way too many words for a school, to the Arkansas 5A state title, averaging 28 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game in 4 contests. He's a top 100 prospect right now, so he wasn't totally under the radar, but NU might have gotten a steal here. I'm not saying he's Keaton Wagler, but there are some positive things to look at with Lanier. I'm glad that Sam composed himself. Because I don't want it's too. This is going to be. I just know that this is going to be a question, just like the Indiana question that kept annoying me. Things can be a novelty. Things can just happen. Things can just. Oh, it's different. But I will say this:
that it's pretty much bizarro world that Nebraska's good at basketball and Indiana's good at football.
Dude,
is that what you were going to say?
Like, what are we doing here? Like, how did this happen? That Nebraska has a legitimate possibility through high school recruiting and transfer portal recruiting, for people to look at them like we did in Indiana, right? Because we looked at Indiana through their transfer portal cycle this season, where I think they finished according to On 3 top 5. I can look right now. Where we looked at Indiana and what they did in the transfer portal with Hoover and Nick Marsh, and we go, whoa, this is for real. like this isn't, hey, they had like 2 good years in a row and they don't have the money or anything like that. Like, no, Buckaroo. Like they are putting money into this, and they are putting some really big things into this, and they are capitalizing off of the momentum that they were able to create from literally winning a national championship and going to the college football playoff the year before. And their transfer portal rank was 17th in the country, and their overall recruiting rank was 20th in the country, which for Indiana standards is massive. Indiana had 12 4-star prospects commit to them this season, whether it be through high school or the transfer portal. Nebraska basketball has the ability and potential to do something similar with 2 4-star prospects with money and support to not only retain the high quality players that they currently have, but also maybe go ahead and get high quality players, whether it be a point guard or whether it be a big man, whether it be a stretch forward, whether it be a rim protector. There was a great comment earlier in the show. I don't know if they're still listening. Blue Jay R6, shocker, goes, Matt, hate to break it to you, but everyone is looking for those. I mean, literally everybody. You're not going to get a good big without spending $2+ million. Now, I'm not going to act as if I know the market and what the money is going to be spent, but Blue Jay is not completely wrong. We talked about this the other day. In the NFL and college football, there are some similarities in terms of who is controlling the market and who is getting the most money. There are some major similarities between the D lineman being paid a lot of money in the NFL and the D lineman being paid a lot of money in college football. Same thing at the quarterback position. But there are some differences. It seems like the NFL market for wide receivers is much more lucrative than it is for college basketball or college football. It seems like the market for interior offensive linemen in terms of relative percentage of dollars might be a little bit higher in college football than it is in the NFL, but cornerbacks can vary in college football, where in the NFL, you got a quarterback, man, you pay him a lot of money. I think it's going to be very interesting, especially with a ton of eyes on this transfer portal cycle. And I think with more people with a better understanding of how it works, right? Because I think initially in the first couple of years, we saw some teams just throw money at good players and say, let's figure it out, where there have been teams that have taken more of a patterned approach and more of a calm approach and more of a styles make teams approach, and they benefited from that. In Nebraska has benefited from that greatly. I think Michigan has benefited from that too. I'm very curious to see how the markets pan out for college basketball as they do for the NBA. In the NBA, you're paying 6'6", 6'7", 3-and-D wings, a lot of money. You look at those guys and you goes, okay, those guys can be the future. Those guys are the archetype that we've seen to be best players on championship teams. And I think you see, we might see an increase of these guys go up, or it was kind of the Shaq effect back in 1995. In 95, when Shaq was coming up in the NBA, and then especially when he hit his apex in the late 90s and early 2000s with Kobe and the Lakers, we saw teams being like, all right, we literally just need to get big men for Shaq. Like we need to acquire just bodies to go and play this guy, play this behemoth. I think you might see the same thing happen in the NBA with Victor Wembanyama. He might have a similar effect.
Oh, okay, sure.
To Shaq, because he's just so big and you just need bodies for fouls.
We need a Wemby stopper.
Seriously. So maybe you'll see the market on power forwards and centers go up in the NBA, but I don't think that the market is going to be nearly as impactful as it is in the NBA as in college basketball. I think there is a high premium for centers, for 6'9" guys and plus in college basketball to be kind of those wreckers in the paint than it is in the NBA. And so I think that you're going to have a lot of teams who are going to be looking for, all right, we need somebody to get us in our sets, and we need somebody to rebound, and we need somebody to disrupt the paint on the defensive end. And this is a conversation that I've had with John Walker about, like, what is the market going to look like? And what are the archetypal type players that are going to be at a very high premium come the transfer portal? And it kind of hit me even more so when I realized that Creighton and Nebraska are kind of going to be looking for some of the same guys, not maybe specifically, but in terms of position. I think Price, I'm very confident that Braden Frager is going to end up staying at Nebraska. We talked about it with Robin. He sounded very confident about it. Talked to other people. They are very confident that Braden is going to stay at Nebraska. The article that I mentioned with Sam, where he talks about the 4-star recruits, Colin Rice and Jacob Lanier, he also mentions that just based off of how he sees it, he's very confident that Braden is going to end up staying at Nebraska. I think that's kind of the vibe that we're getting here. Price is going to be tougher because he's got an actual, he's got legitimate NBA prospects out there. And I think it's going to be interesting. We saw it with Casey, where he went through the NBA combine process and then decided to come back. And I think that was him just trying to figure out, okay, where do I need to improve? How can I get my draft stock to be drafted, right? Because Casey, definitely garnered interest from NBA teams, but wasn't a guy who was being mocked to be picked. Price is a guy that's being mocked. And Price might be a guy where he goes through the process of working out with teams and goes to the NBA combine in Chicago and does all of that. And maybe he does it with the intention of figuring out what he needs to do better. But there also is a world where Price gets up in front of these guys with their very own eyes and his stock rises to the point where it's like, oh, this isn't just a check with me. This is a legitimate endeavor that I can go on. Maybe he rises to the point where he's a near first round draft pick. I mean, look, obviously there's a lot to be added onto the frame, and there's going to be some major questions on whether or not Price can play defense in the NBA. All valid indeed. I just think his quick trigger and how just locked in and knocked down he seemed like in the tournament. Man, if I was watching that Troy game, if I was watching that Vandy game, it would be very, very difficult for me to say, no, that guy isn't an NBA player. But we talked a lot about Nebraska, and what were the priorities of Nebraska? Point guard, stretch four, and a rim protector. That's what I evaluate. Look at Creighton, and it's a lot of the same, right? If you're, let's say hypothetically, you kind of keep the guys that you want to keep together. You'll have Jackson McAndrew, you have Jason Green, you have Hudson Greer. I think Fedor Zugic is a good option at the point guard position. You got Cottrell Harmon. He's a four-star prospect from Mount Pleasant, Utah. Other guys, interesting to see if they end up retaining him, Kieran Conan or Blake Harper. The one thing I look at Creighton is that, I mean, number one, first and foremost, you need to get a paint protector. You need to get a glass cleaner. You need to get a rebounder, right? You just need size in that paint. And you need somebody who's physical enough to compete against. I mean, look, as long as Gay and Hurley's been around, they've had some dominant big men. Adama Sanogo, Klingon, Terrace Reed. They've had guys who can control the paint. I don't think Rick Pitino is changing the formula over in St. John's. I think that they are going to keep with getting the big, physical, long team, right? And, I think the Big East, rightfully so, is going to adjust with the top guys, what they are doing, right? So
you don't think the 73-year-old is going to start doing something different?
No, I don't think he is.
Bold take by you.
Thank you. So it's one of those things where that is your first point of contention. Go get that big guy. And you got to get, honestly, probably got to get two of them. And then go ahead and guess what they have to get? A point guard, a floor general, just like Nebraska does. Nebraska's got to get big men. They got to get a floor general point guard. Now, I do think that Creighton, if we're comparing the two rosters, Nebraska has a lot of spacing. We saw what Frager can do from the three-point line. We saw what Sanford can do in the three-point line. Obviously, assuming that they come back. But even you got to remember Connor Segan, who is out this season, not a content creator solely, also a very good three-point shooter, provides some spacing off the bench. I think Creighton would definitely be somebody to benefit off of that spacing. And I think Creighton, too, is going to be a team that maybe you look into having an athletic combo guard as well that can push the pace down the floor. Those are just some of the analysis I make. Obviously, this all comes down to Alan Huss and how he wants to create the team. The one worry I have with Nebraska is retainment, right? Like we talk all about
phones are ringing in Lincoln.
Yeah, like we talk all about what they might be able to add to make this roster better. But before you can make the roster better, the roster has to be whole, right? Before you can add some other dudes that haven't played for you at the transfer portal to take you to that next level.
Got to know who's coming.
Exactly.
Going, yeah.
That's my number one concern. My number one concern with Creighton is kind of, is it too much to accomplish all in one season?
If only there was a whole team of people recruited by Alan Huss that had had tournament success that he could reach out to and say, hey, that purple looks silly on you. You want to come wear some blue?
Does he dip into the High Point pond? Does he dip into the roster in which he helped created that defeated Wisconsin in the first round of the NCAA tournament? Does he do that?
I'm just saying he could.
I think, and this isn't an insult to Alan, I think he'd be a fool not to make a couple calls and figure it out. Listen.
There's money at High Point, so you're gonna get into a little battle. There,
and look, I personally don't know the relationship that he might have with those players or that athletic department or that.
Some of those coaches come in and they're like, "No, I promise, I'm not gonna poach."
Yeah, no, seriously, he could have done. I personally do not know that. And if that's already an agreement made, then this is a conversation that can't be had. But let's just say hypothetically, that isn't there. Yeah. Now, if they get nobody from High Point, if they don't go and get anybody from High Point's roster, do you know how much I'm going to complain? Zero.
Oh, okay.
Zero. I'm not going to complain at all. Right? If you get the guys, you get the guys. It's a good point made by you. Is it necessary? Is it like you have to do that and you're a dummy if you don't? Absolutely not. I mean, they could be playing for Mary's Seat of the Blind. The guy is 7'1" and he rebounds the ball. I don't give a damn where he came from. All right. That's just case in point. I just do worry. I just do look at this roster and say, there's a lot of work to be done. And can you really do all of that work in one season? I think that's a difficulty. But I don't think it's out of the realm. Like, I don't think it's crazy to say that Creighton immediately can be competitive again next year. I don't think that's the case at all. Like I mean, we saw
they could bounce back.
Well, look, they did not have a good season. They did not have a good season. They did not live up to those expectations. They were preseason ranked to start the season, and they ended up missing the NCAA tournament. That's tough. But what did they do in the offseason? They spent money. They were willing to make some big investments. Josh Dix, obviously everything that happened off the court and everything that he had to battle through. But they beat some very competitive teams out. They beat Illinois for his services. They beat Kansas for his services. And so, and they beat some very competitive teams to go and get the services of Owen Freeman. It didn't work out. So, yeah, you look at this roster and you go, okay, there's a lot of things that the Blue Jays are going to have to address in order to get back to where they were in terms of competing at the top of the Big East. I don't think that there's any indication, though, in the past that leads me or leads anybody to really believe that they aren't going to make the investment to go ahead and do that and to address those problems. It's just very interesting to me that we'll see. I mean, granted, very different, there are different coaches in different programs, and they could be looking for different individual players. But it seems like Nebraska and Creighton are going to be competing for some of the same positions in terms of what they're going to do in the portal. Could be very interesting heading into this offseason, which college basketball, you look at the numbers and you look at the popularity and you look at everything that they've done in the tournament, even the regular season numbers. It's going to be a very, very followed offseason in the transfer portal. There's going to be a lot of people paying attention to who's getting who. And already people are making Matt Painter, Olivier Roux jokes, the 7'9" center.
Oh, yeah. Matt Painter loves 7-footers.
Loves big men, loves 7-footers, wins a lot of games with them. We mentioned that before. 26 of the player of the year since 1980 have been power forwards and centers. 6 of the last 7 Naismith player of the years have been power forwards or centers. And you look at these rosters and how they're constructed in the Final Four right now, a lot of them have some dominant big men. Some of them have 2 dominant big men. And there is going to be a lot. If you are over 6'9" and you're in the transfer portal, congrats, buddy. Congrats.
Bags coming.
Go and get a nice coffee machine or something.
Oh yeah.
By the way, real quick, this whole conversation about Cinderella's like no longer being existent, and all these teams, these mid-major teams, have good years and their guys just leave. Two guys from Troy's team, the team that Nebraska beat in the first round.
Yeah, the team that didn't even win a tournament game.
Victor Valdez and Thomas Dowd, both in the transfer portal for Trout.
Wow.
I'll be real. Kind of liked what I saw out of Valdez. Made a couple of 3-pointers against Nebraska.
Didn't win a tournament game.
No, did not. Do you know who won 2 tournament games? Nebraska basketball.
That's right.
All right, we are going to turn it over to football here. We're going to talk to Timmy Verghese. He's going to give us the updates on recruiting. Also going to talk a little NFL draft with him as well. Coming up next on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, don't forget we have one heck of a half-off deal going on here on 1620thezone.com. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Ballard's Black Island on Ontario's Lake of the Woods.
Whoa.
Canadian fishing adventure. You grab your crew and head to Morrison, Ontario for a bucket list fishing trip at a fraction of the price, up to 6 people from May 21st to the 25th. 4 nights cabin lodging, 3-day guided multi-species fishing, rods, reels, bait, and tackle are all included. Island transportation's included, and it's an inclusive style trip, puts you on the water with expert guides and one of Canada's premier fishing destinations. No experience needed. Let me tell you this, Lake of the Woods, not just a premier fishing destination in Canada, premier fishing destination in the country. Okay, I go up there all the time to Brainerd, Minnesota, a couple of hours south of Lake of the Woods, and all those people are always talking about how they go up to LOW and they catch some monster northern pike, walleye, muskie. So if you want big trophy fishing opportunity and a great time out on the lake, go to 1620zone.com and take advantage of our half-off deal. We welcome in somebody who is just as good as fishing at Lake of the Woods. It's Tim Verghese of Inside Nebraska and Rivals. Timmy V, how are you, my friend?
Hey, how we doing?
Doing good. Great to talk to you as always. Very excited. We were tipped off during the show that you're going to be doing a draft special with Michael Severe. I am incredibly excited to see two of my favorite guys when it comes to talking about the draft or talking about player analysis come together and talk about what the future of the NFL is going to look like. I told Michael that, look, I'm an NFL Draft Plus guy. I'm not at the level that you two are at, but I love the draft. I subscribe to things. I read all about it. I have opinions on it. This is one of the drafts where I haven't been as intrigued this year as I have been in years past, and I think it has a lot to do with maybe not as many elite wide receiver talents and elite quarterback talents. But what is intriguing to you about this upcoming NFL draft?
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of where guys are ultimately going to land. I think after I was just having this conversation with Severe in the press box on Saturday, I think after I think it's right around 10 to 12. I can see it maybe even further up, maybe around 6, I think 7 or 8, where things just could really get out of hand. You know, you could see. I mean, again, this is a weird QB draft. If Ty Simpson goes early and someone takes an early swing on him, what does that do for the quarterback market? You know, how high does Jeremiah Love go? A guy I really like. Again, I'm a person who I understand draft value. I understand why you pick certain things. For me personally, I think there's a market, not inefficiency necessarily, but for disruptive interior defenders. I think there's the guys that can eat up space. I'm a big fan of those kind of guys. I would be pretty shocked if I see Caden McDonald flip out of the first round. And as a Houston guy, would be pretty thrilled if he does somehow end up on the interior of that Texans defense somehow. But overall, I think this is a draft where, you know, I'm going to be really fascinated how some of these teams value. Like you mentioned, it's a weird receiver group. How do you value some of these guys? Do you value size? Do you value the ability to get open? A lot of lessons, I think, to be learned in terms of team strategy and where the sport is going moving forward. The tight end market's super fascinating in this draft. Beyond Kenyon Sadiq, you know, I wonder about, hey, you know, if you're looking for, and this is the real kind of, not even it's not an extensive drop off, but the poor man's Eli Stowers could be Heinrich Harburg, you know, and I kind of wonder after his testing times and the additional weight he's put on. Obviously, I think there's a lot of questions about his blocking ability, but you know, I don't think people are really going at Eli Stowers for solely his blocking ability either. You know, he's an athlete in space. And so wonder a little bit about that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, beyond the front, these edge rushers, man, it's a really interesting group. I think some of these guys are getting overthought. I just don't understand why there isn't more buzz around Deshaun Barham. You know what I mean? There's a lot of solid players in this draft I think are getting very much overthought.
Peter Woods.
Yeah, Peter Woods is another one where, you know, there's obviously some stuff there of where does that guy fit in? What do you do with him?
Yeah. Great
But I kind of think he's a disruptive player, just like Ruben Bain. I think both those guys are going to be good players at the next level because, they're disruptive. I think that stuff matters. I think production matters a ton. And, when you have guys that are outliers, they better be performing as outliers. And I think both Ruben Bain and Peter Woods have performed enough where I really wouldn't be overthinking it if I'm an NFL team with both of those guys.
Okay, let's talk about overthinking it when it comes to the NFL, because this is a fascinating conversation that's being had amongst, the draft experts, where you have some tier 1 players, like Hall of Fame talent caliber players. And we don't throw around that term lightly, right, in the draft community. But we look at guys like Jeremiah Love, guys like Caleb Downs, guys like Sonny Styles, and we say, wow, they have the makeup and athleticism and the archetype of players that could be in Canton one day. But what is the commonality, Tim, between those 3 guys? They don't necessarily play the premium positions that you use very high draft picks on. Love is a running back, Styles an off-ball linebacker, Downs a safety. We typically see positions like that. Another great guy would be Logan Jones, the center out of Iowa, where those are high caliber prospects, but they don't necessarily play your premium defensive end, offensive tackle, quarterback position. How do you think teams are going to handle using top draft picks, especially for those first 3 guys I mentioned, considering the fact they're super talented, but they don't play the top of the market positions?
Yeah. So the one for me, I think I have the biggest question mark on right now is Downs. I just kind of don't really know where he goes. I mean, look, he's going to be an upgrade pretty much wherever he goes. He's going to be a plug-and-play starter wherever he goes. And frankly, again, I understand it. I understand that safety is not a position that's valued the same as others. Caleb Downs is not the typical safety. Caleb Downs is a defense-changing type safety. You build your defense, not necessarily around that guy, but you build your defense with that guy heavily in mind if you have him on the roster. You want to feature that guy. You want to make sure he's got certain assignments. And I think, again, across what he's shown both at Alabama and Ohio State, I think there's a lot to love in his ability to drop down and cover, his versatility as a player. With Styles, I think it feels too easy. And this is, I kind of feel like he's a lock at 5, right?
Really? To New York?
He's a lock at 5 to the Giants.
Really? Wow.
I don't know if he gets past that. That's been the buzz as of late. It kind of feels like.
Okay. You don't think so? Do you think Tate goes at 6 then? Carnell?
Shoot, man. Tate's the one where
because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of. All right. What are the chances you think the draft goes this way? Jeremiah Love 4, Downs 5, Tate 6. Where would you put the chances of that happening? Is it higher than 50% or lower than 50%?
I would say higher.
Okay. Okay.
I would say the one that throws me off there because 4 Titans Love, that's been linked a lot. The one with Cleveland, I can just see getting Monroe, and I think Monroe is a good player. I for year 1 and especially for the rookie contract, I don't know if you're going to get the value there.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But the ceiling's there. The ceiling is absolutely there with Monroe Freeling. I just don't know if you're going to get the value of a top number 1 OT. This would be number 1 OT in the draft if he goes here. Number 1 OT in the draft. I don't know if you're getting that on his rookie contract.
No.
Yeah, there's some of that. I don't know. I don't know if Downs slips out of the top 10, but if that happens, is it just as simple as, where does he end up? And that's where, like every draft, it feels like I'm kind of waiting on the first good. It's not good team. It's good process. I think the first team on this draft here with good process, or I believe is going to have good process, is going to be the Giants under John Harbaugh. And then from there, I would say obviously the Chiefs at 9. That's I think the Chiefs 9 is one where I'm like, okay, what if they get Ruben Bain? What happens then?
Whoa. That would be, And lining him up opposite of Karloftis would be very interesting as well. That'd be a very, very interesting prospect. Who gets drafted first, Freeling or Fanu?
Ooh.
The two offensive tackles, by the way, for our audience who might not know these names.
Yes,
Fanu, offensive tackle out of Utah, and Freeling, offensive tackle who's risen up the boards because of his insane measurables.
Yeah, and that's just you know the league. The league kind of not overthinks, but like the league so reads into the combine and the measurables and the upside and all of that. Where I think it's going to be Freeling.
Whoa!
I think it should be Francis.
I agree. I think it should be Fanu too. I mean, the Freeling guy. I mean, this is where you being the expert and me being advanced in this. I didn't fully know who he was until the combine. You see the 330, the 6'7", in his insane length. He has been just rising up the board.
Yeah. So if you want, back when I was on the Michigan beat, I went out to Under Armour Atlanta when Monroe Freeling was a junior in high school, and he was just as big, just as long, but 260 pounds. And it was like, oh God, this guy needs to really put on some weight. It was one of those things where I had never seen him. He was one of the top, because of, again, the measurables and the athleticism, one of the top tackles in the cycle pretty early on. But I was pretty shocked how skinny he was. It was an encouraging thing because I was like, oh, well, the weight's going to come on.
Yeah.
But the thing with me, like, I can't get out. There's a few of these guys in this draft. And in college football right now, where I can't believe the high school or the college career went so similarly to the high school career, where Monroe was like, okay, year 1, year 2, putting on the weight. Oh, okay, here we go. He's got the weight on. Oh, it's still up and down, but you can really see the high up there. And
yeah.
But he's got the weight on, and so now you're really kind of not squinting to see it, but you do kind of have to squint it to see it with him from a consistency standpoint, because the ceiling is absolutely there, but the consistency is not.
Let's set a number here. Over under 2.5 Huskers drafted. You would take the what?
Ooh, I'm going to take the over.
Okay. So Sierra Wright gets drafted.
Over. Yeah, I think so. Okay. I think so.
And so now Deshaun and Sierra, I mean, obviously, are we thinking both what, 6th, 7th round there?
Yeah, something like that. Again, going to be very curious to see how teams maybe value Singleton as an athlete. Now that he's tested pretty well at his size, I wonder a little bit with Sierra's one. I wondered that we heard this going into the combine that there were a few guys that didn't get combine invites or whatever, and we found out from Sierra he knew he didn't have the combine invite at the Shrine Bowl. Like, he knew before the Shrine Bowl and stuff they wasn't going to be at the combine, so he made the most of the Shrine Bowl experience, and that's why he also jumped on that Senior Bowl invite. I wonder a little bit if there are a team or teams out there that are trying to keep him relatively under the radar. We heard that was happening. A few guys didn't get invited to the combine because of that. I don't know how much I actually read into that, but I've felt, especially when we saw it on tape last year, I think Sierra Wright, like the guy, like a corner that has the ability to stick around in the league for some time. And you look across the secondaries in the NFL, that 5th, 6th, sometimes 7th DB in the room typically looks like Sierra Wright, and typically has the traits Sierra Wright does. A guy that can cover, a guy that's physical enough to hit and work into the run game, has the versatility to stick outside, move inside to nickel if needed, and maybe even play some safety if needed. But the most important thing is everyone is looking for corners with some natural stickiness, and DBs with some natural stickiness to pair with versatility. I think he's got a frame where he looked a little bigger at the combine. That was encouraging to see. I think he's just got a frame and has the tape now. Now that he's played some nickel, where I especially once you get to round 6, round 7, and teams are just really looking for value at that point. I have a hard time seeing DBs with more value than Sierra late in the draft.
Best fit for Emmett Johnson is where?
Ooh, I haven't really thought about that.
Okay, can I give you 2?
Yeah, go ahead.
Minnesota and Jacksonville.
Interesting. Minnesota feels natural.
does.
Just because of the connections. He's been linked there a bunch. I know he's going to go meet there. And from there, obviously, Jacksonville is interesting. And I guess there is a need, isn't there?
And so there's Achane goes from the Jaguars to the Saints, and you already have Bashal Tuden, who could be more of your kind of pounding running back. And then in that Liam Cohen offense, I think they definitely could use a versatile running back in both the run game and in the pass game to spread some things out. We also, I think there were times where, Emmett was lining up all the way on the outside as a receiver. I just look at some of these teams with these sexy offensive coaches and think they view Emmett as a guy that, they could be super versatile on offense. And then also, too, Jacksonville, they have picks 80, 88, and 100 in the end of the third round.
Yeah.
So
the thing with me looking at fit with Johnson right now so far has been like looking at draft picks and being like, okay, where does he kind of slot in here?
Sure.
But yeah, where are you up the mind? Is he RB3? Is he potentially RB2? Where do you think he slots in?
Washington out of Arkansas had a really, really good camp. But I think that there's been reports that a lot of people were impressed with Emmett at the combine, and he did pretty well at the meetings. I think it's obviously Love 1 and Price 2. I probably have him just above Singleton. I'd have him just above Singleton and probably even with Washington from Arkansas. That's probably where I would.
Yeah. Washington from Arkansas is the one that intrigues me. I'm also intrigued by Jonah Coleman up in
great call.
Up in Washington.
Great call. That's one that I forgot about too. I mean, the running back class isn't necessarily like super deep in terms of high talent, but then there's a lot of guys who are very close to one another. Like they're very even. There's a lot of guys who are going to go from 3 to 5. So, but I would put Washington had such a good combine, man, and he's got the weight. Like I think he's like close to 225 or something like that. Like it was really, really good. But I just think that Emmett's versatility in terms of receiving the ball is going to put him above the next level. You know what? I think I disappointed people without asking you recruiting questions, but that was some of the most fun I've had in an interview. So I appreciate talking to you about the NFL draft. That's always fun. I'm glad we got some Husker flavor in there. Tim Verghese, so versatile when it comes to player analysis. I didn't even know you were an NFL draft guy like that. Made my day. I can't wait to talk to you again soon, my friend, next Tuesday.
Can I drop a quick note before I get off here?
Do your quick note.
Okay, Tennessee cornerback Jermon McCoy, a guy who missed this last year because of an ACL tear.
Yeah.
Look, if anyone's going to push, like from a pure tape and trait standpoint, if anyone's going to push Delaney at the top of this cornerback board, it's him. He just ran 4.38 with a 38 vert and a 10.7 broad at his pro day.
Nice. I just saw that tweet from Field Yates. Yates just goes huge for a top 15 player in the class. That's a very big shakeup there in a secondary room where, you know what, you got Delaney, and then after that, there's a lot of preference, right? And I think that's the interesting thing about this NFL draft. After the top guy in each position, it seems like there's just a preference play from where guys are going to get taken. So I appreciate talking to you about that, Tim. We'll talk more recruiting next time we see you here Tuesdays at 12:20 on Middays with Matt.
Always a pleasure, guys.
See you, Timmy V. What a guy. God, I love that dude.
Guys went deep on it.
Dude,
I like it.
He just knows so much. Let's talk a little baseball coming up next.
Baseball.
I know. Here on Middays with Matt, we're talking about baseball. Yes, we are.
You're wearing a Cubs hat.
Stay tuned here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Everyone loves ABS.
It's good.
Everyone is a very, very big fan of the umpires getting embarrassed. Eugenio Suarez had one of the biggest cheers of the entire night when he challenged two different pitches that would have been strike three that ended up
In one at bat.
in one at bat. One at bat. Two pitches, strike three, both balls, both called strikes, challenges them both. Massive, massive cheers for him. Aaron Boone,
Aaron Bleepin Boone?
dude, you would have thought, all right, ABS system is in place. It's going to erase the mistakes that umpires make, right? And what this also is going to do is it's going to stop these managers from getting in the faces and chirping at the umpires, because they don't, their mistakes are erased. It's gone. It's over with. It's whatever. Nope. Aaron Boone said no. You can't. He's just doing it for the love of the game now.
Twins manager got ejected once over the weekend for arguing balls and strikes after an ABS. Now, I think
you can't argue with the robots.
I think technically he was arguing that it came longer than you have 2 seconds
awesome.
to challenge it, but still, you're arguing balls and strikes.
It's awesome. It's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome that Aaron Boone is like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that the calls are now corrected. All right. I still love yelling at umpires. I still love arguing about it.
Dan Bellino last night for the Braves game, he got challenged 6 times by various players, and the players were right 5 of those times.
The Yankees won 5 of 5, and Boone was pissed about it. He was like, "You gotta be better." Remember that? He was like, "You gotta be him. You gotta be better." Boy, I forgot his name. Baseball happening in the Metro tonight between the Creighton Blue Jays and the Nebraska Corn Huskers.
It's a big one.
Blue Jays 13-12, Nebraska 22-6 on the season. Very much in tow to potentially get an at-large bid are the Huskers. Since 2018, Creighton is 13-3 against Nebraska. 13-3. Nebraska perfect in the midweeks this season. That has been a problem for Will Bolt's squad over during his era of coaching Nebraska baseball. They were 25-21 heading into this season in midweek games. They've been able to take advantage of them this season. Creighton has had the number of Nebraska in the midweeks, but we will see.
Huskers have won 17 of 18, though.
They have 17 of 18 games overall.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Sorry.
Creighton, new coach though, Mark Kingston, first season as the manager of the Creighton Blue Jays, trying to keep Ed Service's run of being fairly dominant against Will Bolt going. So it should be a good matchup tonight at 6:00 at the Chuck Box.
Over-under pitchers used is set at 23.5.
They always use so many pitchers in this game. It's crazy. But on the mound for the Huskers tonight, Gavin Blatchowitz. So we will see how that happens tonight. Can the Huskers continue their recent run of success and potentially get an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament and don't have to worry about the right fielder of Michigan State dropping the ball in order to get to the NCAA tournament? That would be nice.
But once he did, it was all downhill from there for Nebraska.
Well, they ended up winning. They ended up doing it. They got it done. The NFL is getting a lot of things done in their yearly meetings in Arizona. We will tell you all the rule changes that just went down. Coming up next here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
All righty, things are going on in Arizona. I'm not talking about baseball. Edward Cabrera, though, that yesterday was a Cubs game I didn't watch. By the way, if the wind is blowing the way that it was blowing yesterday on September 6th, when Nebraska volleyball goes and plays at Wrigley, oof, tough.
There was an immaculate inning thrown in Arizona yesterday. Is
Really?
that what we're talking
No,
about?
we're not talking about that. We're
Okay.
talking about the NFL. I also was bringing up, though, that Edward Cabrera looked great, and now I'm going to have to do the thing with Owen Casey and Edward Cabrera where I freak out about them playing well every time that, they do it, even though that these trades aren't going to really come to fruition in the next couple of years. I hate sports. But what I love about sports is when we are innovative and when we have issues and when we have problems, even maybe problems that don't seem that big, but we go ahead and we go, you know what? We're going to nip this in the butt right now. We're going to get through it. We're not going to allow this to be a controversy before it becomes a controversy. We're not going to allow to have massive talk pieces that make it a way bigger deal than what it actually is. We're just going to go ahead and say, you know what? Enough of that. We saw a little bit of it. Enough of it. Rule changes have happened in the NFL. Tom Pelissero all over. Tommy P's been killing the content game recently, by the way.
Okay.
He's been on the Alive to Us list. Tommy P's number one. He's awesome. That'd be a great get for us if we could ever have Tom Pelissero on the show. He's so good. He's like I don't think he's like in the Peter Schrager category where it's just like he's a broadcaster's broadcaster. That's how I feel about Tommy P. Here are the rule changes approved from the NFL owners voting today. So there was a bunch of rules on the table for the NFL owners to vote on. 4 of them got approved by the competition committee to permit the kicking team to declare an onside kick at any time during the game.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. You can onside kick it now at any point that you want. Competition committee. These are all from the competition committee. To eliminate the kicking team's incentive to intentionally kick the ball out of bounds when kicking off from the 50-yard line. Okay. So I don't know what that means. To eliminate the kicking team's incentive to intentionally kick the ball out of bounds when kicking off from the 50-yard line. So maybe they're moving it up. I don't know for sure. I think they're probably making it more of a worse penalty if you kick the ball out of bounds, because the difference between if it wasn't in the landing zone to be kicking out of bounds is only like 5 yards. So I think they've probably increased it. Maybe they increased it up to the 50-yard line. I don't really understand the wording on that. Maybe Tommy P will clarify. Here's the last one, and this is the most important one. This is the one that you have to keep your eye on. For 1 year only, to allow the NFL officiating department to correct clear and obvious misses made by on-field officials that impact the game. Only in the event that there is a work stoppage involving the game officials represented by the NFL Referees Association. So basically, the NFL owners whose collective bargaining agreement with the NFL Refereeing Association comes to a conclusion on May 31st. The NFL owners have essentially put in a safeguard just in case that they are not able to come to an agreement, which, according to sources, they are not close to each other at all because the NFL wants to hold referees more accountable. That's what I have read, and that is what is being reported. I would love, and this is something I have to work on, I would love to try and find somebody to talk to in refereeing. I would love to talk to somebody at the NFL Refereeing Association or somebody who is an NFL ref to clarify some of these things. Just because it seems like the NFL wants to have more of a reward system and a merit-based system and more of an accountability system. And I can see as to why NFL referees are like, no, I actually don't want that. I actually want everybody to kind of be treated fairly. So that's a big one, though. The NFL seems like they are fully preparing to to have replacement referees for the first time in what will be 14 years. The last time that we had that happen was in 2012. Everybody remembers the famous game, the Hail Mary, launched up into the end zone. One referee signals it's an interception. The other referee signaled it was a touchdown between the Packers and the Seattle Seahawks. Mike McCarthy was very awkwardly asked about that on the Pat McAfee show. He did not offer up a great answer because I think there has been basically I don't want to say an embargo, but a block on talking about the situation right now between the league owners and the referees. And it's worked because if I'm being real with you, Josh Hodson, I really didn't know what was going on until like a week ago. And this is a really serious thing this is going to be very interesting, man. Like, this is to have New York essentially have the ability to go and retroactively reverse clear and obvious calls. Definitely will change the impact of the game. And I wonder if maybe too, if you're looking at it from this perspective, maybe this is a kick in the butt for the NFL Refereeing Association to get this deal done quicker from this perspective. I don't think the NFL Refereeing Association and maybe even the NFL want this to be a permanent thing. Henceforth, it being a 1-year only deal in case they go to replacement referees. But if I were the NFL Refereeing Association and I did not want this, the last thing I would want is this to be in place and people love it and people like it. And for the NFL to say, hey, okay, we did this with replacement referees. And by, statistically, you guys are going to have less clear and obvious calls, but this was such an effective system and we executed it in the right way. We're actually going to keep it. We're going to keep it around. Now, I don't know this is where I would love to talk to somebody, very much tied to these conversations, because I honestly don't know if this is something that the NFL Refereeing Association has to agree to or not, or they can block and say, hey, you can't do this. So, it's one of those instances where this rule change, if they end up going to league officials, I'm very curious as to if they get to replacement referees, if we say, hey, you know what? We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it. And then we're going to have a real airtight situation in the NFL when it comes to refereeing. A little bit similar to, God, what's his name? Pablo Torre's guy, who was the former president of the Miami Marlins. David Sampson.
Yeah.
David Sampson. So, very controversial figure, pretty polarizing, especially in and around the MLB, but has his own show and was talking about the CB Buckner situation. And Sampson, a guy who's very much dialed in, explained, look, we're going to have some bad umpires get exposed. We're going to have some umpires who have not been doing a good job, and they're going to get, thrown to the wolves. And the fans and the players and the MLB, the Umpires Association, are going to see really who are the best umpires and who are the bad umpires. And the Players Association has no problem with that. Major League Baseball has no problem with that. The Umpires Association, Sampson said, doesn't have a problem with it either.
Oh, okay.
So
you'd think that'd be the one that, like, well, we have to
protect
right?
our
guy.
But I do think that, it's not as if the Umpire Association in the past has shown that they're not afraid to try and get guys out, And so, they got to protect their guys and whatnot. But Sampson kind of, and this is just his reporting, but him communicating that, like, hey, the Umpires Association doesn't seem like they're in a whole hubbubaloo about some of those guys being exposed because they just want to have a better product. I don't get that vibe from the NFL Refereeing Association. I don't get that at all. So once again, I would love to talk to someone about that. Somebody who also loves talking a lot recently. Switching vibes here.
Yeah, who's a talker?
Mark Cuban has just been
that guy's talking
all over the place, talking politically, talking about the NBA, had a very interesting proposition of shortening. So the brain numbing conversation outside of tanking precautions, right? How do we stop teams from tanking? And I've read all these rules of 2 years, you add up the records from the last 2 seasons, or you make the lottery all even and you give them all the same amount of percent. I mean, I just think that I don't know. At this point, it's something that maybe you have to do, but if there's always a extra incentive to be bad, regardless if the percentages are smaller, I think teams are still going to try and take those extra percentage points. Anyway, though, Cuban proposed a league rule because we're always talking about shortening the games, having less games. We want less games in the NBA. The NBA
82 is a lot.
82 is a lot of games. We should go to 65. We should go to 70. Cuban goes, how about we play 40-minute games? Right? If you add up over time, basically every 6 games, you eliminate a game. So essentially, you multiply that. You're going to eliminate roughly 13 to 14 games in time. So basically, an 82-game season would go to about a 70-ish game season if you're just going off of minutes played. You also have the idea that you give more opportunities for upsets, right? 8 minutes less of play means that a good team has 8 less minutes to try and recover from a bad start, right?
Owners might not be immediately opposed to the idea because it still gives them 41 home dates. It's still...
And you don't have to mess with the leasing agreements between the stadiums, and you still have your time to sell your merchandise and everything like that, because you got to understand that if you eliminate games off the schedule, you eliminate opportunities for fans to go to team scores. And that's a pretty big deal in terms of the merchandising sale, right? Because I'm a fan. I am way more likely to buy a hat or a shirt or a hoodie at a game than I am to buy it at a Dick's Sporting Goods. That's just kind of how I operate.
You get me in the building, I'm probably coming out with something.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of financial barriers that go into shortening the season, which would benefit the NBA from a entertainment perspective if they were to do. Cuban's idea of 40 minutes. Not a bad idea. Kind of like it. I like that somebody's trying to figure out things. Then he said...
Oh, he just kept going.
He kept going.
Oh, no.
He said yesterday, I don't like who I sold the Mavericks to.
If only someone had told you at the time of the sale
not to do it.
Yeah.
Here's another thing, too. So he actually had a very interesting perspective of his kids were getting to the age of where they wanted to start working for the Mavericks. And he goes, nope, I don't want you to.
So he sold the team instead of just telling his kids no?
Yes. He sold the team.
I can't.
To alleviate the opportunity of his kids working for...
He still knows everyone in the building, right?
Well, he still owns 27% of the team.
Wow.
So he sells his majority stake to the Dumont and the Adelson family. And according to an ESPN article I read today, basically, he was going around telling people, hey, I'm still going to be a part of the basketball operations, all right? I just got, my bank account's just a little bit bigger now. No big deal.
Oh, yeah, and then didn't the league go, buddy,
you're not the governor anymore.
You can't do that.
No, you're not the governor anymore, my man. And so, when Luka Doncic was traded...
Remember that?
He was called by Nico Harrison and told, hey, we traded him. He had nothing to do with the Luka deal. He had no sort of advising on the Luka deal and very much bit his tongue through the entirety of the process because Luka was his guy. And so after, I think they started 3-8, Dallas fires Nico Harrison to begin the season after Anthony Davis went down with a calf strain. They later traded Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. Nico Harrison got fired. It's rumored that he was behind the scenes, basically pushing for Harrison to get the boot, and then said publicly that he is upset and mad. He said he's not mad that he sold the team. He made it very clear that, like, he called himself, by the way, ultimate eye roll here. He called himself a middle-class billionaire.
Woof.
Shut your mouth.
Let me tell you what, quote unquote, real America doesn't want to hear.
Right here. Right here. The smallest little violin. for you middle class billionaire, you buffoon.
Hey man, my super yacht's breaking down.
He was
where
explaining
you
that
find parts for a super yacht. That's my Mark Cuban impression.
It was too financially stressful as a middle class billionaire, barf, to run an NBA franchise. So that was part of the reason, along with his kids not wanting them to work anymore to sell the team. You want tinfoil hat, Matt?
Yes.
I think the Dumont and Adelson party, I think they sold them. They traded Luka, and they were okay with Luka being traded to be a big FU to Mark Cuban. I think they bought a majority franchise, the majority franchise of the Dallas Mavericks. They had the majority ownership, and they didn't want Mark Cuban parading around with his 27% saying, well, the Dumont and Adelson family, they're going ahead and they're making decisions and they're the majority owners. But hey, the best guy in this team, I'm the one who drafted him. I was in the power chair when he got picked. I'm the reason why Dallas is having all this success. It's not, they did a fine job putting pieces around Luka, but if it weren't for me, if it weren't for my ownership and it weren't for, the picks that we made, he wouldn't be here.
Okay. So they could never win anything of significance with Luka, or else he'd be everywhere.
Exactly.
Taking
Being like,
credit
well,
for
it's
it.
the Mavericks are mine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who brought Luka here.
Okay.
When they went ahead and they did The Last Dance, right? They interviewed the guy who drafted Michael Jordan. That guy had nothing else to do. He got fired for a reason. It had nothing else to do with the creation of the dynasty of the Bulls, but we had to go and talk to that guy because he's the one who made the pick and he will always be associated with the Bulls. I think that it's clear that behind the scenes that these people do not have a good relationship with one another. And part of the reason that they traded Luka Doncic is that they convinced themselves that with Kyrie and Anthony Davis, they could win a title pretty quickly, even though that was a crazy thought. And then secondly, they thought, well, if we just get rid of the last thing that Mark Cuban had, then this franchise can officially become ours. That's tinfoil Matt.
I like tinfoil Matt. We need to bring him out more.
I think they are the stupidest people in all of sports.
Wow.
The fact that there were multiple lines, there were multiple barriers, multiple hoops that Nico Harrison had to jump through in order to trade Luka Doncic, and he somehow got through all those hoops, is an embarrassment for that Maverick franchise. It is still to this day. And it's going to go down as one of the worst trades in NBA history.
It is an maybe not
The
an
guy
absolute. It's a where were you moment when you.
The guy owned a quarter of the franchise. He owned 27% of the franchise. And they refused to call him to tell him what they were doing. Crazy. Crazy. We're hitting all the bases today. We're doing it all. Having a good time. I'm
having a great time.
I'm glad that you're having a good time. We talked about Nebraska basketball. We talked about Creighton basketball. We talked about Nebraska baseball. We touched on the NFL owners meeting. We talked about the Las Vegas getting another Super Bowl. There are things happening right now in the transfer portal when it comes to basketball. A lot of interesting prospects being put out there right now that are rumored to be entered into the transfer portal. We'll talk about some of those. There has been, by the way, in the last 30 minutes, been about 10 to 11 dudes who have entered the transfer portal for basketball, who are intending to enter the transfer portal. There are some who are incredibly interesting. There are some who are going to get a lot of money. There are some who continue to prove some of the takes that we had after the first round of the NCAA tournament. We'll talk about what we're seeing right now with the transfer portal. I don't believe it's officially open. I think it opens in a couple of days, but officially people are starting to announce their intentions to enter the transfer portal. We will talk about that next here on Middays with Matt on 1620.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We had Michael Severe on earlier.
Sure
in the
did.
show. I went on the Zone Twitter feed, which is powered by Liquid Trucking. And Michael had a tweet. It was the link to all of the silent auction items that will be at the Jet Awards Gala.
Whoa.
Which takes place at the Steel House. You can go to Michael's Twitter account and go ahead and
I'm going.
and
Live auction.
and buy some of these items. Let me tell you something right now. Some of these items are very, very interesting. Also, the order of some of these items are very interesting. Like,
whoa, a tribute to the big dog daddy, Toby Keith.
Well, you got to that one. But my favorite 1-2 punch here is we go from the free Runza combo meal for a year certificate. Then we do the Chicago Cubs Gold Glove fan pack of Ian Happ.
Sure.
Followed right into the Showroom Shine all year, 1 year unlimited Rocket Car Wash membership, right?
Whoa.
Keeping it local. And then right under that is a rare intersection of presidential history.
Let's go.
A photo of Ronald Reagan and a young Donald Trump in 1987
Whoa.
shaking each other's hands.
That's going to make a lot of money for charity.
The starting bid for that picture, $1,295.
Big ballers only.
There is a lot of. There's a
Buzz
soulful,
Aldrin signed photo.
There's a soulful tribute to a legendary performance, which is Chris Stapleton and his national anthem rendition at the Super Bowl. And then right under that is a Family Is All Here, the Sopranos Ultimate 3D collage.
Whoa, call Stibbs.
Starting at $395.
Stibbs, you could have that.
There was a lot of not only could I afford any of this, would I buy any of this? I would buy, there's a Olivia Rodrigo poster.
There you go.
Oh, it's signed by her.
Put that in your dorm room.
There's a Make Golf Great Again, the Trump and Daly signature collection. It's 2 golf balls signed by John Daly and Donald Trump. The starting bid is $1,290.
President T.
Whoa! This is something I might buy. The Pied Piper of Daytona. Dale Earnhardt Jr. signed full-size helmet. The problem is that if I bought this signed full-size helmet of Dale Jr.,
you'd wear it all the time.
I'd wear it all the time.
Most people would just, set it on an end table or something. You would wear it.
Whoa, you got it. Okay. Oh, I think these are the live auction price. These are the live auctions, I believe, where it's the trip to Rome, trip to Greece, trip to Sedona, trip to Puerto Rico, trip to Scotland, trip to Portugal. So there you go.
Remember, he's got that signed football with 23 Heisman Trophy winners there.
There's one signed football that's got Matt Rule's signature.
Matt Rule? It's going to be worth something in a few years.
This official commemorative football was
buyout.
issued for the 15th annual Jet Award Gala. Making this item the centerpiece for any Sea of Red collection is the bold, authentic signature of Nebraska head coach Matt Rule. The starting bid is at $50. I will not make any jokes. Bigger man right here.
That's you.
That is me. Won't make any jokes. Sure, you could just throw that one to the crowd. All righty. So let's go to the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. We've had some emails trickle in here over our past conversations. We actually have somebody who gave me a contact to talk to somebody in the NFL refereeing area. So we will go ahead.
Is it Joey? Was it Joey?
No. It was our friend Sean gave me a contact. John's got 2 emails in the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally. Equitable Bank. John emails, good Lord. At this point, just eliminate the kickoff and spot the ball at the 25. That is where they want to end up on these asinine rules anyway. Just pull the trigger and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? I feel like that's very old man take. Just stop kicking the ball. We keep making all these rules. Make it dynamic. Let's spot the ball in the 20 and let's eliminate like 50% of the jobs in the NFL.
Whatever you're going to do, I'm okay with. I would like to see some people return the kicks, though. That's more exciting.
John also texts on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline 429-516-1620. I feel Cuban's pain. I'm just a middle class 500 heir. calling yourself a middle class billionaire is one of the most pretentious things I've ever heard in my entire life. You're not middle class.
Really no spin zone on that.
There is zero
or
spin zone.
coming back from that.
No, whatsoever. A couple of interesting enters into the basketball transfer portal. So this one is a in-between here from John Mobley Jr., the guard who played for Ohio State, along with Bruce Thornton and Amari Bynum. Bynum announced yesterday, the Omaha, Nebraska product, played at Omaha Bryan, that he is returning to Ohio State. Husker fans everywhere were upset because for months at this point, they've been talking about, can Bynum transfer to Nebraska? He will be staying in Columbus. But John Mobley Jr. declares to the NFL draft while maintaining his eligibility. If he does return to school, it'll be at Ohio State, so he ain't going anywhere. Another transfer in Ohio actually comes not from Ohio State and not the University of Ohio. It actually comes from Miami University's Brant Byers, the man who was a part of the team, the Miami, Ohio Redhawks, who went on a undefeated season, regular season,
and almost missed the tournament.
And almost missed the tournament, was the last team in the tournament. 6'8" sophomore. He started 33 games, was named second team All-MAC. He averaged 14 points and shot 39% from three. Look, this is, we talked about it earlier. Thomas Dowd of Troy and Victor Valdez of Troy, two guys that Nebraska played in the opening round of the 2026 NCAA tournament. Both find players for a mid-major team such as Troy in the Sun Belt. What do? Got really good, had great seasons. They entered the transfer portal. Tell you this right now, they probably ain't going to a mid-major. They're going to a high major. And this is why we have these conversations about, are we going to have a Cinderella again? Or, how often are we going to see a 13, 14, 15 seed, make a run and beat one of these top seeds in the NCAA tournament? I mean, granted, Siena gave Duke a run for its money, but then at the end of the day, Duke's just strength and power just overwhelmed them all the way to the end.
They would have really liked a sixth guy at Siena, I bet.
I mean, this is the push and pull of college basketball being super popular right now and everybody being so excited about the Final Four, right? The basketball's never been better. The competition has never been better. We got 4 of the best teams are in the tournament. They're in the Final Four: Arizona, Michigan, UConn, Illinois. I mean, this is all great. And man, this tournament has been super competitive. I mean, how many close games between Power 5 schools have we seen? I mean, we've seen a lot of games go to the wire. We've seen a lot of games have thrilling moments. And, one including Nebraska when they took on Vanderbilt, right? Even the Nebraska-Iowa game was very close. It's one of those things where, yeah, that's all great and stuff, and the Power 5 teams look great, but this is, if that's the push, the pull is, if you're good for one season in the mid-majors, you're gone, right? And can we blame the kids? Can we blame them?
I really can't.
Can we shame them? Can we really say you shouldn't do that? Absolutely.
I mean, I can, but I'm not going to.
I mean, look, the case in point is this, like, unless it's very rare instances, you grow up wanting to play for the University of Wisconsin-Madison. You don't really grow up wanting to play for the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Okay? You grow up wanting to play for the University of Michigan. You don't grow up necessarily wanting to play for Oakland, which is in Michigan.
People forget.
People do forget, right? You can go down the line of all of these smaller mid-major schools that are in, these states. I'll just use this as an example. Like in a great article written in the Omaha World Herald, Tony Osborne, a legend for the Omaha, legend for the Mavericks, who helped lead them to the first ever NCAA tournament. He admitted in the article that he grew up thinking, I want to play for Creighton, and then found a home and made the absolute best out of it in Omaha, and we commend him for it. But it's just kind of one of those instances where you grow up watching basketball, you're more than likely going to want and dream and hope to play at the Power 5 Division I level. And kudos to the transfer portal for giving these kids the opportunity to not only accomplish their dreams a little bit later in life, but also make money while doing it. I think it's a net positive. But that's the push. The pull is, we're not going to get as many 14 upsets over 3s or 15s over 2s. And you know, I think it would be a little bit too bold to say we'll never see another 16 beat a 1 after Siena was pretty damn close in doing it this year. But it's kind of the world that we live in. College basketball is skyrocketing in popularity. And the numbers are there to prove it, and the ratings are there to prove it. But it's adapting in a way that is very different from what it once was. I think both can be true. I think you can love college basketball the way that it is and be happy that the way that it is and be in tune and attentive to it and excited about it. And it could be an incredibly popular sport. And you can also yearn for the days where you had more upsets. And nobody wants to admit it, but this year with Texas making it to the Sweet 16 and, you know, with Iowa making it to the Elite Eight and Utah State having a pretty impressive run, you know, and challenging Arizona the round of 32, but more so in terms of Texas having a really good go around and making the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. No one wants to admit it, but like, I think Seth Davis now has an extra added argument, if you will, for wanting there to be more teams in the NCAA tournament. I think he's got a slight nugget now that he can use. I'm not in support of it. I do not support it. I do not support it. But now that we have the funneling of these really good mid-major players to more Power 5 schools, and they're getting better, and now that Texas beat Gonzaga, they did that. They beat BYU, they beat Gonzaga, they made it to the Sweet 16. They had a really, really good game. Again, they nearly beat Purdue.
Had a good run today, Matt. Had a good run.
I'm not in support of it. I just have to give credit. I'm an honest guy. I'm a fair man.
Where's the fun in that? Being fair.
Are you saying that's not entertaining?
You stick to your guns.
I'm not. There was no guns to be had.
And you drag people wherever possible.
I think Seth Davis is on the dead to us list. I'm just telling you though that like he just has an added little piece of ammo with Texas being in the play and going to the Sweet 16. That's the truth. He's going to use it. I'm just pointing something out. I'm not supporting his argument. I still think he's a dummy. I still think it's stupid. I still don't want them to extend the tournament. I don't.
All right. I believe you for now.
I'd stop it. But I think both things can be true. I think you can be kind of upset that Cinderella doesn't exist as it used to, but I think you also could say, hey, man, got more kids kicking around, right? Got better players who are willing to stay with their teams, right? I mean, Price Sanford is a great example. Back in the day, back in 2014, 15, 16, where your only way to make money was to go to the NBA or do very illegal things under the table against the will of the NCAA, your only way to make money was going to the league. When you were mocked into the draft, see ya. I'm out of here. But now you got NIL. You got a guy like Price Sanford where, yeah, he's getting mocked to go like 43, 44, in the middle of the second round. And yet people say, man, you shouldn't go. Be the superstar of Nebraska basketball. Build another legacy. Make a ton of money. And then see where you're at next year for the NBA. I think college basketball is in a great spot. It's not going to be the same like it once was. And you could be slightly upset about it. But I think we're all going to learn to appreciate this weekend that's coming up when you have two awesome games. One being a rematch and one being a game that we've seen coming. You kind of saw a collision course potentially happening between Michigan and Arizona, even dating back before this tournament even started. And now you got that matchup. So be interesting to see how this portal all shakes out. It's going to be interesting to see what Josh Otson has for us in terms of what to watch tonight. I'm very, very curious. Is it going to be more baseball and hockey, or is there a novelty event we didn't talk about? Ooh. We'll find that out next here on Middays. Matt on 1620. Josh Hodson, what are we watching today, my man?
Well, we got some hoops on, not as much as we've been used to the last month or so, but the NBA is on NBC tonight, 7 o'clock tip, deep in the heart of Texas for Knicks Rockets, and then 10 o'clock they switch it over to Peacock for Blazers Clippers. One game in the NHL on Hulu tonight, 6:30 puck drop for Hurricanes and the Blue Jackets.
Okay.
Baseball, MLB Network 5:40 first pitch for Nationals Phillies, and then Yankees Mariners at 8:40 on TBS. Had a good one last night. Hopefully they can duplicate it tonight. College baseball, number 19 Nebraska is at the Chuck Box to take on the Creighton Blue Jays. 6 o'clock is when it starts on ESPN Plus. Connor Happer and John Bishop on the call there. Glenn Sisk has you covered right here on 1620 The Zone. Tonight for college baseball. College softball, number 8 Nebraska is near the Chuck Box to take on the Creighton Blue Jays at 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. A couple things to watch on Netflix tonight. Untold is back. This one is the death and life of Lamar Odom. The documentary traces Odom's life from his rise to NBA fame and marriage to Khloe Kardashian to his near-fatal overdose in a Nevada brothel.
Oh, I thought, I was like, Lamar Odom passed away? I was like, I didn't get news of that.
I think he was legally dead for a few minutes.
Okay.
But
I didn't know that.
yeah, and then also on Netflix, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Make your own jokes there with that one. Dr. Kelson, played by Ralph Fiennes, makes a discovery that could change the world as they know it.
What, more bones?
More bones.
You just got to call Frank Thomas for that one.
Hey, baby, you want to come on back to the Bone Temple?
Hey, you feel like Clark Kent? Wouldn't you rather be Superman?
Got it.
Literally. Is that it?
That's it, yes.
All right, folks, let's talk right now. I'm going to kill your bookmaker. I'm going to rip his throat out. I will blow this man out. I will step on his throat until the man chokes. Let me tell you how. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. Dog. Winners. I'm on a roll.
Dude, you got to love dogs, right?
We are in the season where I don't know where I'm doing.
What my dog say?
I don't watch any of these sports.
What my dog say?
I don't read these articles. I don't know. We're just learning together. Tony Vitello won his first game yesterday as a San Francisco Giants manager.
Yeah, I thought we were going to do home runs.
I got to do a little more research.
It's Dinger Tuesday.
No, Dinger Thursdays.
Okay.
Dinger Thursdays.
I don't care what you do.
Neither do I.
It's your segment.
Tony Tuesdays, or don't take Tony Tuesdays.
Okay.
We're taking San Diego plus 117 to beat the San Francisco Giants today. That's our dog of the day.
Good bet, Matt.
Presented by
Could be you.
Could be you. Is there a liquid trucking part 2? Hopefully you would. That'd be great. Somebody help us. All right. I just want a sponsored segment. I just want dog of the day.
You get a couple more of these dogs to hit in a row, people will gravitate.
We'll start
towards
listening.
it.
I don't think my winners have anything to do with the viability of this.
Everybody wants to be hooked up with a winner.
Everybody does want to be hooked up.
That's why Khloe hooked up with Lamar.
And we'll end it on that note. On sportsmanlike conduct and the crossovers coming up next.